This is John Murray. I'm at St Andrews for the FA Cup tie between Birmingham City and Newcastle United, and I'm sitting in the dark with Leon Osman, waiting for the start of a much anticipated fourth round tie. But the atmosphere here, Leon, for this match between the League One leaders and the team Newcastle United, who reached the Carabao Cup final 3 days ago, is building brilliantly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've not been here this season. If every game's like this, it's no wonder they've got an incredible record here at home. The build-up has been fantastic. We've just had a DJ, we've had sing-song. The crowd are getting involved every way they can. There's flames being propelled into the air as the two teams are now joining the pitch, and the atmosphere is red hot.
Yeah, the lights are still down here, and actually everyone's encouraged to put their phone lights on. There are boxes which are spewing out flames, which in the darkness here is incredibly effective, and the players are walking out between two columns of flag wavers towards the halfway line. But they do the build-up, and now on come the lights now, and we can see the players arriving on the halfway line for the pre-match formalities. But I must say that the mix that they do here is quite superb, and it's always the same. But what was different today was, as Leon has mentioned there, well-known local grime artist JK has been in the DJ booth on the side of the pitch. That has helped ramp up the atmosphere. But they play the Israelites, they play UB40's Forever True, they play Mr. Blue Sky by ELO, they play Welcome to the Jungle, and of course they play the famous Keep Right On to the End of the Road, which you will hear very shortly. And they actually play that now right up to kick-off as the whistle goes and the match begins. So that is to come. But I think in a footballing sense, Leon, it's a real contest, this, between a much changed Newcastle side, although it's a strong team. 9 changes from the team that played in midweek. Bruno Guimaraes and Dan Burn keep their places. Callum Wilson's up front. Nick Pope is batting goal. But for Birmingham City, not beaten since November, only lost 3 times in all competitions this season under Chris Davis, and with a good lead at the moment at the top of League One, and full of confidence, and with this backing, this is a real test.
Oh, absolutely. Doesn't matter what league you're in, if you've got a record like Birmingham City have this season, you're full of confidence. Anybody coming to your home turf is going to have to really be at it to get any kind of result. You'd expect a Premier League team. Let's not forget Newcastle just qualified for the EFL Cup final, 6th in the Premier League, going really well despite a couple of blips at home in the Premier League. Newcastle will fancy their chances, and Birmingham are rightly underdogs. However, I'm not sure how that's how they'll see it. They'll see this as a real opportunity to make a big FA Cup scalp.
I think some of the mental things apply now as much as they ever did. And I think we saw it in the week where Arsenal went to Newcastle immediately after winning 5-1 against Manchester City. Now Newcastle come here 3 days after winning so well 2-0 against Arsenal. The minds have got to be right.
Yeah, and sometimes when a manager comes into these situations and he makes 9 changes, like happens quite regular for cup games, you can see it as maybe a negative, and you can see it as an opportunity to get at them. I'm sure Eddie Howe is trying to counter that big win in the week. These players that are coming in are hungry to perform. These players that are coming in are ready to show their manager that they should be playing in that cup final, despite not having really started in the semi-final. They want to be a part of every minute, and they have to perform in these games. That'll make it difficult for Birmingham City, but the players coming in are a little bit colder. They've not played as much football. They might not be up to that tempo that is necessary to win football matches.
Birmingham City's team: Bailey, Peacock, Farrell is the goalkeeper for this one. Allsop is on the bench, and Birmingham, the rest of their team, led is the right back, Clara and Davis in the middle. Alex Cochrane is the left back. Iwata is the defensive midfielder. Mark Leonard and Kieran Dowell in there with him. Scott Wright and Keshi Anderson. Then Jay Stansfield. And Newcastle with Pope in goal, Livramento, Kraft, Byrne and Target, Guimaraes, Longstaff and Miley, Osula, Willock and Callum Wilson starting for the first time this season. Referee Matthew Donoghue is ready. There is the whistle, and off we go for this FA Cup 4th round tie here at St Andrews, with Birmingham City in the blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks, Newcastle in their first choice colours, the black and white striped shirts. Immediately Birmingham attack down the right hand side and win themselves the first corner of the match in the first 15 seconds.
Really positive play. Kick off, no thought other than to pump it forward. Laird from right back went all the way up into an advanced position, beat down Burns to the first contact header, backed up by Dowell, and they forced that corner. Good start.
Dowell to take the corner. It's a very deep one to the back post. It's headed across and driven in. Birmingham City are in front. What a finish that was from Laird, the right back. It was headed across goal and he pounced on it, left foot, drove it in, might have taken a deflection. 30 seconds on the clock. Birmingham are in front 1-0.
Wow, talk about a dream start for Birmingham City. But it's been such a positive start. No thought of taking the ball at the back. They pump it forward, get bodies round the ball, win the set piece, and from there it's a really well worked set piece. Someone pulls round the back post. Kieran Dowell drills it right to that back post area. Newcastle are in a very zonal formation. Birmingham go right over the top of what they're doing on the 6-yard line. They run everybody else in to that 6-yard line. Everybody who was marking on that penalty spot, they run in. There's a player right the way round the back. I'm not sure who it is at the moment. We're just about to see the replay. It's Anderson all the way round the back, completely unmarked, and he just heads it back into a good area, back into the 6-yard box where Laird is there. He's just found a little gap. He swipes at it with his left foot. Not the cleanest of contacts he'll ever hit, but enough to take a deflection into that top corner of the Newcastle goal. And wow, Newcastle not the start that they already had wanted, but a perfect start for Birmingham.
So 1-0 to the League One leaders. And if there was to be a test of whether Newcastle's focus and minds were absolutely right, there it was in the opening seconds of the match. I'll wait until we get a precise timing, but I reckon there couldn't have been much more than 30 seconds on the clock when Birmingham City took the lead. And it is the right back, Ethan Laird, the former Manchester United youngster, just the second goal that he scored for the club. Took a big deflection off defender in front of Nick Pope. What a welcome back to the team for Nick Pope, by the way. Coming back in, the England goalkeeper. First thing that happens, the FA Cup ball, that orange ball, deflected past him. Not a thing he could do about it.
No, not at all. I mean, he didn't even get close to it. The defender on his line was closest, but even at that, the distance the ball came at him, it was a difficult thing to make sure that, you know, he didn't direct it into his own goal. Brilliant from Birmingham. You're right. I mean, right from the kickoff, actual playing time, it couldn't have been an awful lot. The actual most time that happened was how long they took to set the set piece up. Yeah. It was off the pitch more than it was on the pitch, the ball. Playing time, we must be under 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah, Leonard then free kick to Birmingham. Now Newcastle are rocking here. Leonard plays this in from the right hand side. That's well headed away actually to comparative safety. It was Callum Wilson who was back in there. Now Newcastle attack down the left hand side with Willock approaching the area. Lovely ball across, but no one could get there in a black and white striped shirt. Osula was closest to getting there. It was the right sort of delivery, but his teammates just weren't there.
Yeah, it was a good break from Willock, really positive. Poor from Iwata on the edge of that Birmingham of the Newcastle penalty area. He controlled the ball. It was a simple pass out to the right to keep the attack on. He gave it to Willock, and really positive. He was 5 yards outside of his own box when he picked the ball up. He was probably 5 yards outside of the Birmingham box when he tried to play that ball in to Osula. It's unsuccessful.
Long ball downfield. Here is Jay Stansfield, the top scorer, one of the men of the moment for Birmingham City this season. There are plenty of them dotted all around this team. Kieran Dowell, he gets a touch. The former Evertonian Leon, of course, as you'll know, that he's only recently arrived here on loan from Rangers, but at League One level, you know, I know that he's already impressed very much. And it was his corner into the back post. Keshi Henderson's header back across that landed perfectly, really, for Laird to score from round about 10 yards out and give Birmingham City the lead on what is a murky, misty, rainy, grey February afternoon here in the east of the second city, just to the east of the city centre. You can see, on a clear day, you can see the tower blocks of the city centre from here. As the ball's played forward, Laird jumps for it, Scott Wright as well, but it comes down for Newcastle, and they can try and settle into the game. But already 1-0 down. Already, Leon, we've got a cup tie on our hands.
We certainly do, and again, that ball, I mean, Birmingham are a back four, but every chance they get, Laird from right back just really positive, and he goes pretty much right up front. He gets in between Target and left back Byrne, left centre back for Newcastle, and they just put the ball on top of him.
Well, Nick Pope was put under pressure there by Stansfield, and as a result he's just chipped the ball straight out of play. Nick Pope has not played in the last 13 matches. He had a knee injury, but then when he was fit again, Dubravka kept his place, but Dubravka is on the substitutes bench today. When I saw him last in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, I thought that was it. I thought he was off. He was in tears, wasn't he? It looked as though he was off to Saudi Arabia as Osula is upended by Cochrane over on the far side, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, he tried to be aggressive. Cochrane tried to get to him, and the moment he took his first touch to keep up this atmosphere, to keep Birmingham in a positive forward momentum, but Osula, just as the ball came in, he did a step over before the ball even arrived to him. Wonderful skill, and sucked Cochrane in, took a touch away, and won Newcastle a very important free kick just to actually sustain a little bit of pressure inside this Birmingham half. Yeah,
Osula coming into the team, one of the 9 changes, the Danish under-21 international who scored in the previous round when Newcastle won against Bromley. So free kick it is for Newcastle, played in goalkeeper Peacock. Farrell comes, gets a good punch on that, got up very, very high, 2 fists to it, cleared the penalty area in amongst a whole crowd of bodies there. Peacock. Farrell coming in for Allsop, who's on the bench, the now first choice goalkeeper, the Birmingham City fan as he was growing up, Allsop. But Peacock Farrell, born in County Durham in Darlington, will know the scene in the northeast very well, and the importance of playing against Newcastle United, as Newcastle try to bring it out of the back, but Birmingham are very effectively pressing them, hurrying them, putting them under pressure and forcing mistakes, Leon.
Yeah, it's been the game plan, hasn't it? It's been really evident from the first whistle that Birmingham City are going to use as much energy as they can to certainly match Newcastle and try and actually go a little bit more. Newcastle are strong with their energy, they're strong with how they get about the pitch, and then their quality shows, and at the moment they haven't had a second just to put their foot on the ball and grow into this game. Already a goal behind, and need to find a way of just calming things down for a moment, getting 5 or 10 passes and growing into the game.
So this is BBC 5 Sports Extra for the opening period of this match, at least, while over on 5 Live the England-France match progresses. It was 7-7 last time we heard. 8 minutes played in the first half here, and Dan Byrne playing the ball back to goalkeeper Nick Pope. So yes, Birmingham City 18 matches unbeaten in all competitions, and of the 38 matches that Chris Davis has been in charge, and this is his first senior job as a manager, lots and lots and lots of coaching experience, 38 matches played, they've lost only 3. That is a very impressive start to his senior managerial career. Long-time assistant to Brendan Rodgers and Postecoglou last season. Here's Willock playing it forward down the left for Matt Targett. Matt Targett is another one who's seen very little football this season. This only his 3rd appearance, just his 2nd start, the left back. The suggestion was that he might have moved on during the transfer window, but he's still here and he's playing in the thick of this cup final. Lewis Miley, likewise, he's had injury problems, just his 2nd start of the season for the teenager, both of them in the FA Cup. Now the ball on the right hand side. Here is Osula turning one way and the other, twisting away as the pressure is put on him by Cochrane, and he needed support behind him. Here again, Osula across to Bruno Guimaraes, getting put under pressure. Birmingham City are working tigerishly in these opening minutes. Now it's Willock on the left hand side. In goes the challenge from Laird to tackle it out of play for a throw-in, and several Birmingham fans in our eye line, Leon, up on their feet, waving their fists in the air at Laird's tackle.
Yeah, it was a good tackle, and he followed it up by turning and celebrating with the fans, and it was as if he celebrated that tackle more than his goal, which is saying something. He is really fired up, but he's had an impressive start.
Maybe he hasn't finished celebrating the goal yet. Carried on. The ball's played back into the centre of the Newcastle half. Yes, Ethan Laird the Manchester United youngster. I was listening to the Leyton Orient Manchester City match earlier on, where Ethan Galbraith was playing for Leyton Orient, and Ethan Galbraith and Ethan Laird both made their debuts for Manchester United in Kazakhstan in the same match in Astana, and here they are both featuring in the FA Cup in potential giant killings on the same Saturday afternoon in 2025, and Laird already making his mark on this match with the opening goal, that early opening goal in the first minute. Let's say in the first minute. That will certainly be correct. I'd love to know what the timing was. Here is Emil Kraft. He's another one as well. Emil Kraft, who has had injury problems again. They've blighted his Newcastle career really coming into this match. Right-sided centre back, Livramento on the right hand side, coming back in for Kieran Trippier, works the ball across, might have gone out of play, Osula, and then Wilson, but his effort was blocked and it was cleared away. From our eye line, I did wonder whether that had crossed the white line, but the assistant said not, and now they break forward, Birmingham, but Keshi Anderson can't latch on to Stansfield's return pass, and Newcastle have got it back.
Well, just like you, John, that Birmingham City defence momentarily stopped. They thought it might have been out as well. It was close, but the assistant was right where he needed to be to see whether it did or not, and it actually took a wonderful tackle from Clara at the back there. He dived at the feet of, I think it was Callum Wilson, wasn't it, as it came into it, and he's sharp in those areas, quick touch and try and finish, but luckily the Birmingham City defender was there.
Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 0. 40 seconds apparently the timing for that opening goal.
That's incredible. As I said, I think the ball was probably out as they set up the set piece, got people up from the back. It was probably setting them up for 25 of those 40 seconds. It was a really quick goal and a perfect start.
Yeah, excellent play from Birmingham again, putting Newcastle under pressure. In came Clara with the challenge inside the Newcastle half actually, and now Kraft is being put under pressure over there on the far side by Stansfield, and it's out of play for a throw into Newcastle, level with the edge of their own penalty area. They've had some bleak times, Leon. I mean, I'd not been here for many years until last weekend. Came to see the Rotherham match, and it was underlined to me then that they'd had season after season after season rattling around at the lower end of the championship table, and in some ways the relegation last season, and plus the takeover as well, which has really created waves here. The Tom Wagner, Tom Brady led takeover, but now the mood is so different, and here they are 1-0 up against Newcastle United. Wright receives it on the halfway line, plays it back to Ben Davis. There's quite a strong Scottish influence from Chris Davis's time with Brendan Rodgers at Celtic. Rangers players, former Rangers players, and of course as well Iwata in midfield, a former Celtic man. Wright takes it on through the middle, and then Dan Byrne is yellow carded for his challenge on Scott Wright, who actually got away from him, Leon, but the referee had already blown his whistle to bring it back.
Yeah, he had. I don't know whether, I think it was it Kraft who may have been in a position to tackle. He stopped as soon as the whistle was blown, but it was a really good turn. That's the most important thing from Wright. He'd done Dan Byrne all ends up, and then he started pulling on his shirt, tugging him, and even off with the left leg to try and bring him down. And just at that moment the referee had blown his whistle, probably just a touch too early, before we could have seen if he could have burst through the centre of the goal and been bearing down on Nick Pope.
Latest score in the rugby, Leon, England 7, France 10. It's a narrow lead for the French. Free kick for Birmingham then. It's just forward and right of the centre circle, and it is hit forward by Leonard to the back post, and oh, what a shot that was on the edge of the box from Anderson. Nick Pope diving to his right. Was it deflected wide?
No, that was a wonderful save. I didn't see.
Why is it a goal kick
afterwards? That was an incredible strong piece of technique and skill from Anderson. He was in the mix, in with everybody as that ball went to him, and as he struck it, wonderful technique. It took a slight deflection that made it probably off Dan Byrne, which probably made it a little bit more difficult for Nick Pope in that goal. Full stretch away to his right. What a save after a fantastic bit of skill. Excellent effort from Anderson. Nick Pope, that is
He'll feel a lot better after that, Nick Pope. That's a classic Nick Pope save. He's such a good shot stopper. Reaction save, diving to his right, got a hand to it. And that keeps it at Birmingham City 1, Newcastle 0.
I'd always prefer that, John, in the modern era. And for those goalkeepers or coaches out there that are listening and saying, no, I'd rather have a footballing goalkeeper these days, I'd much prefer one that made wonderful saves.
Yes, Scott Wright away through the middle for Birmingham to the edge of the area. Just one touch too many, and that meant that Emil Kraft could get a touch on that. Just that one touch that took it away from him, but it really opened up for him there.
Yeah, spun into a wonderful bit of space, didn't he? And a nice clever flick into the centre of midfield. And not for the first time, Newcastle really bare in the middle of the pitch. Birmingham able to get good possession in there, and I just didn't think he quite made his mind up early enough what he wanted to do. And Newcastle Premier League defenders quick to take the ball off him.
Yeah, there's no Botman. He's got a knee injury, so he's not involved. Fabian Schär is among the substitutes, so it is this Byrne-Kraft central defensive partnership for Newcastle United. Here is Bruno Guimaraes, the captain, plays it down the line. Willock allowed it to bounce, and then Christophe Clara, the Birmingham City captain, the team captain, Bielik is the club captain who's on the bench, was able to put it out of play. Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 0. The FA Cup, the Emirates FA Cup 4th round here on BBC Radio. Also on BBC television, if you're listening to this, if you're on your way home, it's on BBC One when you get there. Here's Osula on the right-hand side. Osula back towards Livramento, and then Newcastle go back into their own half. It's a real FA Cup 4th round scene, this, Leon.
Yeah.
In early February, lights are on, there's that mist in the air, there's a chill as well we can feel, can't we, all around the place.
Yeah, but Birmingham are sensing or trying to bring the heat, aren't they, on the pitch? And I think Newcastle and Eddie Howe will be okay with this tiny spell of possession if they keep the ball and just try and quiet this crowd, because there's another fiery tackle in the middle of the pitch, that time from Leonard. They're trying to keep the intensity of this game high, and Newcastle just happy just to take the sting out of the game, because they need it at the moment.
Yeah, Leonard, another one who has had Rangers experience right at the start of his career, but a Brighton youngster actually. And Chris Davis has been talking him up, reckons he's one of the most talented players at this level, who doesn't start regularly, but with the injury to Taylor Gardner-Hickman in training this week, Leonard has got the nod for the big cup tie. The atmosphere ringing around the place. Newcastle United, by the way, have got the whole of the lower tier of the railway stand to our right, so they've got between 5,000 and 6,000 supporters in here. It's a sellout, this match. Target on the left-hand side for Newcastle, but his cross is blocked by the goal scorer Laird, headed back in by Guimaraes to the edge of the box. Then Ben Davis is up to head it away, and then Dan Byrne will play it all the way back to goalkeeper Nick Pope, all in pink. He's like a beacon, isn't he, in these murky conditions. Bruno Guimaraes back to Dan Byrne. Newcastle, who've gone out to League One opposition in 2 of the last 3 seasons in the FA Cup. Cambridge United at St James's Park, remember that, a couple of years ago, and then Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. Reached the quarter-finals last season, but now facing an exit to League One opposition again. Long way to go yet, though, although we almost 20 minutes played as Sean Longstaff into the challenge, but it bounces away, and Birmingham City working again incredibly hard here as the ball is won back now by Dowell with a flick. He was looking for Stansfield. Target will play it forward towards Willock, and Willock wins the throw in just in front of Chris Davis where he's standing. Throw into Newcastle.
Yeah, unfortunate for Dali. He's working really hard, just like the rest of his teammates, gets into good positions. Once he won that ball, as you know, I've played with him in his youth. He doesn't possess that pace to run away from anybody in that moment. That's why he's looking for clever passes, back heels in those situations. Would have been different had Stansfield been in that position with the ball.
Bruno Guimaraes in the centre circle tries to pass it through, but that was intercepted by Ben Davis, and so Birmingham City have got it back. Blue shirts with the white stripe down the sides and the broad white stripe across the chest as well, as Willock fouls Laird, and it's a free kick to Birmingham just in front of the coaching area. Eddie Howe down there. Eddie Howe, who will take Newcastle to another cup final next month. That's 2 in 3 seasons. I suppose the bad news for Newcastle is that they'll be up against the team of the season so far, Liverpool. But I think with Newcastle, and they gave as good as they got in the previous meeting this season against Liverpool, finished as a 3-3 draw. We'll play each other again before the cup final at the end of this month. Newcastle winning the ball back. Here's Lewis Miley again, who's going to turn and play it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Yes, Eddie Howe, Leon, hoping to become the first English manager to win one of the big domestic cups since. Who was that man? Do you know who?
Oh, that's a good question.
Have a think. Here's Wilson. Wilson gets through a good challenge there, comes out with the ball, takes it to the left. Wilson's cross right across the penalty area. Osula across, shot from Willock, blocked on the line, and then Willock puts the follow-up over the bar. Was it the goalkeeper or was it a defender on the line? I think it was Peacock Farrell.
Yeah, I think it was the goalkeeper. I'm not sure. I think they've given the goal.
Oh, have they? It was over the line. It was over the line. The goal has been given, and Willock makes it 1-1. It took a little while actually for the players to get the message from the officials. I don't know whether there was a problem with the referee's watch or what the situation was, but Peacock Farrell saved the Willock shot from behind the line, and it is Birmingham City 1, Newcastle 1.
I'm not sure if the assistant referee on that far side, he flagged really early as if he was given the goal, but the old flag thing is you put the flag across your chest to say a goal. He was just still waving it like he was given an offside, and he flagged like he'd given an offside or a throw-in rather than putting the flag across his chest like used to happen in the olden days that I know, and it just confused everybody. Newcastle thought they'd missed the chance, Birmingham thought they'd gotten away with one, but it was good play from Newcastle. The first time we've seen Callum Wilson in the game, bursts down that left-hand side, puts a wonderful ball in. The ball goes to that far post around the back of Cochrane, the defender, and Osula was there, and I wondered if he's going to go for goal or just pull it back into a good area. He pulled it back to Willock, who arrived brilliantly into a great position, and he's had an effort at goal. And you know what, I'm looking at it again. I wonder if the referee has got a watch on, but that looks awfully close. It may have just crept over the line, but to the naked eye, that's got to be really difficult to give what the assistant was flagging for, but it doesn't matter. It has been given. Newcastle have got a goal, have got their own goal, and they are back in this game.
Yeah, I have to say, from the angle that we've got there, I think they've probably got that right. And he has got the watch on, hasn't he? Yes.
Yeah, it's awfully close. Obviously,
it just took a while though, didn't it?
Yeah, with technology. We're looking at the referee, we're looking at the assistant, we weren't quite sure what decision they were giving. It turned out that it was the goal, but nobody in the stadium seemed to know.
Well, that is just what Newcastle needed, because they've been under some pressure here. But Joe Willock scoring the equaliser, the second goal of the season, scored right at the start of the season, actually, in the Carabao Cup tie against Nottingham Forest that Newcastle won on penalties. Newcastle giving it away, Stansfield drags it back, and then it's actually deflected by Bruno Guimaraes across his own penalty area out to Anderson on the left-hand side. Anderson faces up the Newcastle defence, plays it back to Leonard. Now Cochrane with the cross, but that's charged down by Osula, now to play for a throw into Birmingham. Dan Burns had a really tough start to this game. He's just taken too long on the ball. It's as if Birmingham have identified that when he gets the ball, he's the man to press. This time it was Kieran Dowell who went really close, got off his feet, won the ball back in. Ball fell to Stansfield. He probably should have moved a little bit quicker to get a shot. As Cochrane hits a shot from just outside the penalty area, but that was straight at Pope, who's able to tap it down. And I beg his pardon, Stansfield, wasn't it? Stansfield hit the shot from just outside the penalty area, but straight at Pope, who was able to deal with that comfortably. Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 1. 25 minutes played here at St Andrews, the home of Birmingham City. The League One leaders, beaten here just once this season by Fulham, when Jay Stansfield was among the scorers for Fulham before he got his permanent move to Birmingham City, where he's now scored 17 goals this season and been such an important part of what they do. Pope, that's lovely, his pass to Osula. Osula's away from Cochrane, right foot shot, saved by Peacock Farrell, down to his left, comes back out to Osula, turns on his left foot, thought about the shot, back to Longstaff though. Livramento now, right across the penalty area. Willock with a chance on the goal line. Wilson heads it down and in, and the goal is given, and Newcastle have scored a second. They've come from 2-1 down with two quick fire goals from Willock and Wilson, and the Premier League side are in front now. Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 2.
Oh, this started with an absolutely wonderful touch on the halfway line from Osula. The ball was fired in. Cochrane again tried to go really tight on him. He'd done him with one touch, and then bear down on that penalty area, that Birmingham City penalty area. He took a shot really early actually to try and catch the goalkeeper out, and Newcastle keep it alive once it falls into that area. The ball gets fired across from the right hand side of that penalty area. Willock thought he was coming in at the back post to actually score his second of the game once that happened, and it took a brilliant tackle from Laird to keep it out, to stop him doing that. And then it fell to Osher, and he's actually 3 yards out. You know, that might be up there with like a miss of the season. One of it took a deflection to put him off. He's 3 yards out. He swung his left foot completely, and he seemed to propel it backwards away from goal. And you thought it was one of the biggest opportunities missed for Newcastle, but who was there where you need him to be? Striker Callum Wilson pouncing, poaching as the ball, just seeing again, yeah, Osula hit the ball onto his own foot and it popped up in the air. He's inside of the goal with his hands on his head. Can't believe he's missed it, but behind him is Callum Wilson doing what good strikers do and tapping it in.
That was like comedy hour.
It was incredible. From the sublime, the incredible on the halfway line. It was an incredible touch on the halfway line, a ridiculous one 3 yards out.
And also great credit to Nick Pope's pass as well to Osula, where he produced a great piece of skill, as Leon Osman's saying, to break away downfield. But in the end, when it came back, when it deflected to Osula after Willock's initial effort was blocked, Osula is, as you said, must be a yard, 2 yards out, shoots at goal, just glances it with one foot, it hits the back of his other leg and bounces up in the air for Wilson, who's able to jump and head it down. And actually, Leon, for a moment I wondered whether there might have been a chance of Osula, who'd then fallen down into the goal, to actually block it on the line.
Yeah, it was awfully close, and I wondered whether they would consider him offside, but from that moment he wasn't interfering with play. But I was just thinking moments before that he's been a real threat for Newcastle down that right hand side when the ball comes in, but he's what we call really raw. You know, the ball comes to him, you're not quite sure what he's going to do. I'm not sure he knows quite what he's going to do each time. His teammates don't. Cochrane certainly doesn't. He's had a tough start to this game because of it, but within that there are moments of brilliance, and we saw one in that beginning of that move.
So Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 2 now, and this is a good response from Eddie Howe's side after going behind after just 40 seconds of this FA Cup fourth round tie, and it is Newcastle who have possession inside the Birmingham City half. Lewis Miley and Callum Wilson scoring what is his first goal of an injury hit season, so his first start of the season and his first goal of the season, and that's just where centre forwards like it. Number 9s, isn't it? Middle of the goal, bounces up 3 yards out, a little header, and
you know, John, it's an art. It might look like the simplest of goals, and you know, he's jumped and used his right studs to just force it into the back of the goal, but being there, anticipating, having the agility to get your foot into the air in such a short reaction time is an art, and that's what he's made a career of. He's very, very good at it.
Just see on the screens above our heads, it says England 12, France 18 is the latest score at Twickenham in the Six Nations, so that is over on 5 Live right now, the commentary with Chris Jones and the team. So a big choice of listening right now. And here the FA Cup on Sports Extra.
2 tries, John. We're behind by penalties. We've scored 2 tries.
Yeah, 2 tries. Freeman and Lawrence, the try scorers. So it's not over yet. And certainly isn't over here either, despite the fact Newcastle have gone ahead. This Birmingham City side have proved themselves this season extremely good at turning matches around when they're behind. They've picked up more points in League One than anyone else from losing positions, and did exactly that last Saturday afternoon against Rotherham here.
Yeah, it comes from belief, doesn't it? It comes from belief in your ability, your team's ability, confidence in what you're capable of, and you get that from the manager as well. That never say die attitude. A game is 90 minutes long, potentially be extra time today, but you keep going until that last whistle.
It's Leon Osman, former Everton and England midfielder. Are you going to be at Goodison on Wednesday night, Leon, or not?
I will, John.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. Certainly more than I was about a month ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, and after Everton's defeat in the FA Cup today, that means it's absolutely definitive, isn't it? It will be the last Merseyside derby at Goodison, because they cannot now meet in the FA Cup.
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping David Moyes just took his foot off the gas today with the team, just to set them up for that big game, because you're right, it is huge. Last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park.
Yeah, big night that night. Celtic Bayern Munich as well. That'll be our commentary match. There's Osula now, who's figured very heavily in this match. Osula, he's up, he's down, he's up again, and he's down again. And Birmingham City players gathered all around him. In the end, he was chopped down, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, I thought he was chopped down a couple of times there, and he's quite a tall guy. He's quite rangy, but he hasn't half got the ability to move his feet quickly and manipulate the ball. A really positive start from him.
Free kick then for Newcastle, just a couple of steps inside the Birmingham half. Bruno Guimaraes takes this free kick. It's glanced on by Longstaff. Willock's in, and Willock forces it through, but the offside flag is up against Joe Willock. Very good finish, actually. Peacock Farrell coming out, just got a touch to put it past him, but it's ruled out. Stays 2-1 Newcastle. Yeah,
I think my first impression was maybe just half a yard offside. He ran with the ball, or at least followed the track of the ball really well. But Birmingham just held their line well. They just stopped as the contact was made. That flick on was nudged forward. Willock kept on going, as you'd expect, so just found himself half a yard offside.
And as you are probably aware, there's no VAR at this stage of the FA Cup. There will be in the next round. So from the 5th round onwards, there will be VAR, which is not much use to Leicester City. Here's Anderson up against Livramento, takes him on now, does get the ball, and Stansfield heads it wide, 6 yards out. I was just waiting for the net to ripple, and it bounced wide of the left post.
I don't think he could have got closer, outscoring, and he seems as surprised as anybody. The look on his face that he hasn't found the back of the goal. I mean, Anderson, he hasn't had many involvements in the game so far, but every time he has, he's been incredible. Had the half side wind and volley earlier, he had the assist for the goal, and he's just had a wonderful bit of play. Took it on the back foot, beat Livramento, dropped his shoulder, whipped a wonderful cross in, probably a yard inside that front post, 6 yards out. I think Stansfield may be surprised the ball came over the head of Kraft. I think he was expecting Kraft to head it, and he just couldn't then redirect his head quickly enough to get that on target, but it didn't miss by much.
Excellent play from Keshi Anderson, though, on the left-hand side. The former Crystal Palace man down the left, taking on young England international Livramento and beating him round the outside and whipping in an excellent cross. And as Newcastle with Osula crossing deep from the right-hand side, but that's over everyone and through for a goal kick. He gets a bit of a glare from Bruno Guimaraes over there. But yeah, I think everyone in the ground was expecting Stansfield to score and make it 2-2 at the other end.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in such impressive goal-scoring form, hasn't he, that you see him get half a chance nowadays. It's a really good chance he'll convert it. I mean, and that was inside the frame of the goal, probably 6-7 yards out maybe. I was expecting to see the net ripple as that ball hit the back of it, but it was a good response from Birmingham, because Newcastle have had the majority of the game. They've had Birmingham on the back foot the last 15 minutes scoring them goals, but that just reminds everybody this game is very much alive.
Yep, as Birmingham play it back to goalkeeper Peacock Farrell. The score, Birmingham City 1, Newcastle United 2, but it's been a tremendously entertaining first half, Leon, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. It's been exactly what we'd want it to be, John. A very competitive game. The conditions are set. The build-up was wonderful from Birmingham City. We just wanted to make sure we had a game to go with it. And that early goal, 44 seconds. Yep. Such a quick goal really made the game start as we wanted it to.
Yeah, I've just seen a proper replay of the Wilson goal. He actually got his foot up. He actually put it into the net with the bottom of his boot. So he stretched his foot right up and forced it over the line with the bottom of his boot to make it 2-1 Newcastle. Oh, Willock, what a run this is. He's beaten 3 men. Running crossfield now, gives it to Osula. Back onto his left foot. Shots blocked. Still Osula. Right side of the area. But in the end, Anderson was in there and plays it off Osula and out of play for a goal kick. What a run from Willock.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I mean, he had 4 Birmingham City players all trying to get around him and stop him. Leonard, Nwata, Laird cut inside all of them before finding that pass to Osula, and yeah, he just didn't quite get his first touch into the place he wanted it to. Then he couldn't quite get his second touch perfectly to be able to hit before the incoming challenger Clara came in to make sure he blocked. He was only about 8 yards out at the time, so it was really important. Another important block from the Birmingham defender.
And then he did actually foul Keshi Anderson, didn't he? I mean, he kicked him over. How did you describe him earlier, Osula?
I think I said rangy. And raw.
Raw, that's the one. That is absolutely the word. If there is a definition of a raw footballer, it's Will Osula. Other news, by the way, Leon, score at Twickenham now. England 19, France 18.
Lovely.
I don't know how long
another try.
To play.
Another try then.
Can't be too long to play. And there's about 7 minutes to play, according to Phil, our engineer. That's definitive.
That's just how many fingers he had spare, that was all.
2-1 Newcastle here in the FA Cup. The Rugby Union is over on 5 Live right now, but we'll be crossing there after this. Kraft playing it forward for Wilson, but Peacock Farrell out of the penalty area. He's cleared it, but he's cleared it to Osula, and Osula shoots from distance, but Peacock Farrell has got himself back into position, and he was able to clutch the bouncing ball up into his chest. Less than 9 minutes to go to half-time here. And after Ethan Laird gave Birmingham City a first-minute lead, Joe Willock and Callum Wilson's goals have edged Newcastle in front. The answer to that question, by the way, Eddie Howe will become the first, as the ball's played back to Pope, who's got to pass it around Stansky.
Harry Redknapp.
Correct. That is absolutely spot on in the FA Cup with Portsmouth in 2008.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's a long time for an England manager to win an English domestic cup competition, and he'd be the first England manager to win the League Cup since.
You'll have to give me another minute on that one.
Oh yeah, well, I will, don't worry. And it is Birmingham City 1, Newcastle 2. Listeners can play along, Leon, at home or in their cars.
Right, okay.
Throw in taken by Livramento and headed out of play for another throw to Newcastle halfway inside their own half.
Someone like George Graham?
No, a bit later than that.
Oh, okay.
That sort of murkiness is actually almost turning into mist, isn't it? I think it's got rain in the air as well, and we can see the players' breath very clearly on the air. Here in parts of the country tonight, it's going to be down sort of -5, -6, -7 temperature. Miley heading it away. Birmingham come again. Here's Wright, and Wright for Birmingham, and then across it goes from Iwata to the left-hand side, back into the penalty area. Iwata across, side foot shot, but straight at the goalkeeper from Scott Wright. Straight at Pope, who was able to pat it down.
Well, they're a team that are able to make chances, Birmingham. This isn't a game where Newcastle have got on top and are now showing that they're the Premier League team and being dominant. Birmingham are getting bodies forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 players in and around that Newcastle penalty area as that ball comes across. Iwata picks out Wright brilliantly, and it's a timid effort from Wright. He sort of lets it hit his foot rather than actually trying to punch it goalwards, and it was an easy save for Pope.
They come again though, Birmingham City. Keshi Anderson, who was involved in the opening goal. Then the cross from Cochrane in, but that's headed down and away. Comes out though, Iwata! Oh, what a goal! For 2-2! He struck that as well as he could have done. Arriving onto it, right foot, just outside the box. It flew above Pope's dive into the top corner. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle 2. That was worth coming to see.
Wow. I mean, I haven't been able to see many of the games today, but that's going to be hard to beat for goal of the day. I mean, that is a wonderful strike. I mean, Birmingham have been pushing forward for the last 5 minutes or so. They really have responded to going 2-1 behind to Newcastle, created some really good chances that they probably should have scored before. Chances easier than what we've just seen presented. And it was actually a good bit of play down the left, as you said. Anderson, every time he's been involved, he's been really positive. They just pass it back to Leonard. He's probably about 8-9 yards outside the penalty area on the corner on the left-hand side of Birmingham. He just whips it really far post. And, they've got Laird, who I said has been so advanced up that right-hand side. He's trying to challenge Target in that left-back position, probably on the corner of the 6-yard box to win the ball, win the header. Target can only head it out. It bounces. It's bouncing about 5 or 10 yards outside the penalty area. Waters running onto it, away from goal, hits it on the half volley. It was past Pope before he'd even know it'd been struck, and if it wasn't for the net, it could have caused some damage in that Newcastle end. It was a wonderful strike.
Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. Just the sort of cup tie that you like. Birmingham in front, then Newcastle were in front, and now it's back to all square. And I think you said, Leon, didn't you, the chance he had a few moments before that, it was a little timid of him. Well, he made up for that, Iwata.
Yeah, I mean, Iwata had a lovely at the assist, and Wright had the effort. You've had Stansfield had the effort. Iwata had another scuffed one, and yeah, it was just. It's funny sometimes, isn't it, when those are presented and you're not quite sure as they come to your feet. You're a little bit off balance, or you're not quite sure about the finish and how hard to hit it, and then sometimes it falls like that. It just falls into your running stride perfectly, and you decide just to get your foot right behind it, see what happens, and he benefited from that.
Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2, and we have 3 minutes of the first half to play, and Cochrane just stabbing the ball away after a Newcastle free kick on the far side. It was Matt Targett, actually, as the ball was played back into the penalty area for in the build-up to the second Birmingham goal. Matt Targett sort of falling backwards, headed it out, but it just bounced perfectly, and he arrived. Didn't have to break his stride, Iwata, the Japanese international, the former Celtic man, and on his right foot it was you could not have struck it any more sweetly than he did.
No, as I say, I mean, sometimes you have to find a way of getting a shot. You have to sort of move your feet, you have to get into the right position, you have to make sure you hit it with a certain part of your foot. Everything just fell into place brilliantly. It was in his running path, it seemed. He was running forward towards the ball, but you've still got to hit it, you've still got to get your timing right, and boy did he.
7 goals that he's scored now as a defensive midfielder, but Newcastle playing it out from the back, but Birmingham putting Newcastle under pressure, but they're playing it nicely. Livramento and Kraft together, and now Longstaff plays it down the right for Osula. Osula's cross though blocked by Cochrane, and it bounces into the fans on the far side in the Kop stand. I think they're all standing up over there, aren't they? I think they are. They're on their feet in the lower tier of the.
It's tough
Kop
to see
stand.
through the mist, John, to be honest.
It's a throw into Newcastle, level with the edge of the box. Leon Osman with us. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. Iwata is typical of the sort of recruitment that Birmingham went out on after getting relegated from the Championship last season. Someone who's an international footballer, be playing for Celtic, as Newcastle take the throw in it, and Callum Wilson wins the corner for Newcastle from the right. Spent a lot of money, Birmingham City, something like 20-25 million pounds last summer, which is by an absolute distance the biggest spenders in League One. So they are where they should be with that sort of expenditure, but they have talent all over the field and also a strong squad. 2-2 with Newcastle, which also backs that up. It's corner then. Referee Donahue is just waiting here because Dan Byrne and Cochrane are shoving one another, and that obviously continues as the Cochrane. What's he doing? It's like slapping Burns' forearms. What is he doing? Corner for Newcastle. An outswinger towards the penalty spot, which is headed up and away by Clara. The Birmingham defender Laird jumps for it. Livramento as well. Volleys one over the top. That's headed away by Davis for Birmingham. Bounces down for Stansfield. Stansfield's going to run away with it down the left-hand side. Still going. Newcastle are chasing him. They've got 2 men on him. Oh, he's passed them both. Stansfield's still going into the penalty area. There's no one else there. And eventually the challenge comes. And then Stansfield crashes into a challenge with Longstaff, who was one of the players who he got away from. And now Bruno Guimaraes will pass it forward.
Oh, really good from both of them.
One over the top for Osula, but that will bounce out of play and it's a throw into Birmingham.
Stansfield positive, taking the ball forward, running at Newcastle's defenders, getting just inside the penalty area, but equally Longstaff not giving up, challenging back, making sure not only did he win the ball back and keep it in, he was then able to compete with the second challenge that came in from Stansfield to try and win the ball back. So really good play from both of them, in keeping with how this first half has been.
John Southall's just passed me a piece of paper which says at half-time we're going to hand to Twickenham and back to Chris Jones. So that's what will be happening at half-time on Sports Extra. And he wrote down for me to say hand back for reaction to what's been a classic, without actually putting the score on there. And the score is England have won it 26-25. So what a terrific victory that must have been. A brilliant listen on 5 Live.
I would say it had to go some to beat this, but it sounds like maybe it's up there.
Yeah, as we've got a little bit of nonsense now on the far side of the pitch. Osula, there's some pushing and shoving, and quite a number of the players now have gathered around there, and it's now just general milling around. The referee's standing away from it. He's just making his own decisions. Actually, Nick Pope has come all the way out of his goal to the halfway line to pull Osula away from this. Dan Byrne was in there. I think, was it Ben Davis, the Birmingham?
I think everybody came over eventually. I think it was Stansfield up against Osula originally. I don't think there was any arms raised. I think from what I could originally see, it just looked like two people unhappy with what was happening, going chest to chest, trying to show that they're the tougher guy in these moments. Obviously tensions are running high. There's been an incredible tempo and atmosphere to this game.
Well, the referee has got a yellow card out, and I was wondering who he's going to pick out from that. Osula would be the obvious player, which it is, but it's Keshi Anderson actually who's the Birmingham City player, and I think they're both going to receive yellow cards for this. We're in added time at the end of the first half, by the way. We've had 2 minutes of added time. 2-2 the score.
Anderson saying, though, me? Really? Saying it's claiming to the referee. It's tough to see so many bodies around in that little melee. It's tough to see who was actually the culprit and who was doing what.
Plus the fact it was on the far side, in amongst all of the mizzle. Free kicks taken forward. Wilson won't reach that. It bounced all the way through. That was a waste. Played from the halfway line by Bruno Guimaraes, way beyond Wilson, and it's through for a goal kick. And just seen a replay there of the coming together. I think Anderson's a little unfortunate from what we saw, from the evidence that we saw there.
I think they're all a little bit unfortunate, but
yeah, I think Cochrane might have been more like a yellow card, but it was Anderson. Anyway, there's the half-time whistle, and what terrific cup entertainment that was from these two teams right from the off, with that goal after 40 seconds from Ethan Laird. Newcastle edging themselves back in front, 2 goals in 4 minutes from Willock and Wilson. But then that absolute snorter, Leon, from Tomoki Iwata to make it 2-2.
Yeah, incredible 45 minutes of FA Cup football. Exactly what we all turned up for, and the reason why it's being played at this game on TV as well. It had the potential, but potential doesn't produce results all the time. But these two teams have really got at each other in the first half. It's been a brilliant 45 minutes, and the only worrying thing, John, is quite often at times managers, yes, they enjoy their teams going forward, but they don't enjoy their team being got at in this way, and managers will be trying to find a way to stop the action and stop the opposition in the second half. I hope they don't. I hope they say to the team, go out and do the same again, because I certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, Leon, as if by magic, next time the listeners hear from us, we'll be over on 5 Live after the half-time break, so you can have a little regroup. And as I say, at Twickenham, the Allianz Stadium, as I think they call it now, over on 5 Live, England beat France by 26 points to 25. And let's join 5 Live now to reaction to what has been a classic in that Six Nations match.
they stayed in it, they stayed in contention, obviously then therefore allowing them to do what they did right at the end of the match.
Yeah, I mean, France was scintillating at times, there's no question. They just couldn't quite connect for the killer moment. They couldn't quite get the ball. And there must have been half a dozen opportunities for France where they had held on to the ball or pinned their ears back, and Bebe had scored in the corner. France would have been away. But, you know, ifs, buts and maybes. This is where you've got to be at top level sport, not just in rugby. You've got to be in the fight. We've been saying, and they have probably been saying to themselves, we just need to be in the fight when everybody around you is on the floor completely and utterly shattered. We've got to be in the fight. And that's exactly where England were before. They conceded a try near, we thought was going to be the death and enough to win. And we saw unbelievable character, unbelievable fight from this England side, who have somehow gathered themselves from, you know, looking like they were staring down the barrel to winning a game and dominating the last sort of 5-6 minutes of the game. It's been a vintage performance.
Half-time at St Andrews, Birmingham City against Newcastle. John Southall.
Well, it's been a terrific half. Birmingham 2, Newcastle 2. Birmingham with the early lead inside the opening minute. Ethan Laird scoring 6 yards out. Pope then denied Anderson for the equaliser. Asula, who's been terrific, picked out Joe Willock. Peacock Farrell thought he'd saved it, but the linesman on the far side gave it really tight. Just crossed the line. 4 minutes later, Livramento with the cross, 6 yards out, absolute chaos, and Callum Wilson bundled it in. Then the equaliser, and I doubt you will see a better goal all weekend. Awata running onto a bouncing ball, absolutely lashed it into the roof of the net from 25 yards out. Terrific strike, and what a second half we have for you. Birmingham 2, Newcastle 2.
And there's been a goal in the late game today in the 5th round of the Women's FA Cup between Wolves and Manchester United. Ross Heaton.
And the cup holders firmly on course for the quarter-finals after 2 quick-fire goals. Ethan Mannion stabbing in from close range after Turlin teed it up. Ella Toone then fisted a low drive which squeezed through the keeper. 58 minutes gone. Wolves 0, Manchester United 4.
And a goal in the Scottish Cup 5th round match at Celtic Park. Gavin Wallace.
2 minutes after the restart, Luke McCowan steps up, ball in from that left-hand side, and he was there ahead of the defence. Celtic 3, Raith Rovers 0.
Gavin, thank you. Yeah, we're just getting some comments in from Finn Smith in his post-match interval that he just gave on the pitch, saying, I felt like a rabbit in the headlights early on, and then I found my feet. And that's pretty much what Ashley was saying of his performance, his assessment of his performance in this match, Paul Grayson.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's Finn Smith down to a T. Just is dissecting his own performance there, whilst having the player of the match medal put around his neck. He did start like a rabbit in the headlights, charged down early doors, everything about him was slow and slightly uncertain, and then second half when they needed him to step up, he looked very much like the player who's been going so well for Northampton in winning the domestic title last year, and absolutely key when Marcus Smith was having an off day with the boot at goal. He stepped up and had the minerals to get it done right at the end. It was a crucial conversion after 2 misses from the other Smith.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you know, we were talking about the fact that England would need to be at their best to beat this France side. I appreciate it was a France side who were off at times, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But not everything went right for England today, but they still found a way to get themselves over the line at the end, and I guess that's really impressive as well, and that will really please Steve Borthwick, the grit shown by side this afternoon. Yeah, no, we've been critical of England because of the way that they've played, and it's kind of manifested itself that you don't, because they lose, you don't see that character, you don't see the celebration, you don't see that togetherness, and I mean France could have scored 50 points today quite easily, but what we'll do is dissect England off the back of a win, and it doesn't really matter quite how that happens. You're sort of fighting for every inch of everything today. They made loads of mistakes. England, we were moaning about their kicking game. They were kicking it away too often, and ultimately it was one of those kicks that led to the penalty that got them into the corner, and they scored the try that won the game off it. But they scrapped for everything. They got over the line at the end, and it'll be a massive relief to them as a group, because there's only so many times you can answer the same questions. Yeah, Matt, you were getting quite angry with some of their decision making in the second half.
Yeah, and I still will be angry with it, but it's always nice to be able to sort of show a little bit of that frustration and anger on the back of, one of those wins. This game for England, if England are in form and they are, the top one or two teams in the world, today is one of those games where we'd now be saying, oh blimey, I tell you what, England, they know how to win. Even they're going to win ugly. That's the sign of a quality team in sport, when they win and they've had they've had an off day, but they've nicked it at the end. That's an amazing character to have in your armoury. It's a very powerful weapon to know that you can go to the well and put yourself in a position, be behind and nick it at the death. And somehow, without getting too far ahead of ourselves now, somehow those players and the coaches have just got to bottle up what it takes for England to play like they have here, play like they did against Ireland here a year ago, backs against the wall, underdogs right up against it, deliver it individually and collectively, making good decisions, not all going your own way and still winning games, into that consistent performance no matter who they're playing, because they've got some great players. They competed with France in every the set piece. They were fine, no problem whatsoever. Over the ball in the breakdown, they were fine. They kept Dupont relatively quiet. I mean, no one's going to keep him completely quiet if we're honest, but they did okay. There's so much to take away with not just the fact that they've beaten the favourites of the tournament.
Just one then on France to both of you, just finally then. It was a strange performance from France at times. We're not used to seeing them make so many mistakes, particularly in the second half. Do you think with the replacements coming on, some of them were forced with England putting them under pressure, or does France as well just say for them it was an off day at times?
Just a catalogue of errors, weren't there? I mean, they could have been out of sight after half an hour.
Yeah, I think it was Ashley said there were 4 opportunities, weren't there, for tries that they just didn't take.
Yeah, we said in commentary they got the reverse bonus point. They've missed 4 clear try-scoring opportunities, and that is an ongoing concern for England. The fragility of their defence early doors. They got done on both wings when it was drizzling and the ball was wet, and France got outside them far too easily, and then they broke them up the middle. Damien Penaud dropped a ball when he was clean through 5 metres out, running to the try line. So they certainly contributed to England's win, but it was a strange one for France because they showed to create those spaces, create those opportunities. They were doing so much right. It was just that last pass, or the last catch really, just so casual. And there was an offload in the middle of the first half. It actually led to a try because Dupont tidied it up, but I think it was Pietro Movaca, in the France hooker in the middle of the field, just threw a random reverse pass to absolutely nobody. Now, if you're clear-headed and you're thinking, and you're at your absolute best thinking about the tightness of a test match, you just don't do things like that. So I think France were way off it today, and still could have beaten England comprehensively.
Matt?
Yeah, but I can only imagine that the coaches, the French coaching side, will be furious with that. Yeah, and we haven't necessarily seen France play with that type of mindset for quite a while. They've seemed to be, a lot more discipline, a lot more structure, and just not giving away those opportunities. Quite a killer instinct about the side, and like they were last week against Wales, putting people away. Half a glimpse, putting people away, and yet they just didn't quite have that the mindset of it's wet and slippy, and you're really going to have to be careful of your handling and make sure it's super precise. There is concern still for teams that are playing against France, because they undid England relatively easily in that first half, and then scoring a try to go ahead at the death. They're very, very dangerous. It was England. It's one of those where you're talking in the pub beforehand, thinking, if France have a slight off day today and England knock it out the park, England have got a chance, and that's pretty much the narrative of the day.
Matt, Paul, Chris, thank you very much. So England 26-25 winners over France at Twickenham. What a finish in the second round of the Six Nations for England's men. A converted Elliot Daly try right at the end of the 80. England coming from behind to beat, as Matt Dawson was saying, that the pre-tournament favourites. Hopefully we'll get some reaction from Twickenham for you later on 5 Live Sport. Of course, there's one more match to play in round 2 of the men's Six Nations. Scotland against Ireland at Murrayfield at 3 tomorrow. That's a match you can watch in full on BBC television. We'll also have full match commentary for you right here on BBC Radio 5 Live. We'll be at St Andrews shortly for second half commentary from the 4th round of the FA Cup. It is 2-2 between Birmingham of League One and Newcastle of the Premier League at half time. So second half commentary to come from there shortly. Let's get some other reaction though from the other games that have already been played today in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Marcus Edwards scored on his Burnley debut as his team beat Southampton 1-0 to reach the 5th round. The Burnley boss Scott Parker was speaking after the game to Chris Coles.
Scott, you must be thoroughly pleased at that outcome.
Really pleased, yeah. I thought we was very good today. I thought we was well worthy of the win as well. I think it was really clear in terms of Southampton and the respect they put on this competition, and it was very clear in their team selection that they wanted to go through. I thought for large parts in the first half we have some real big chances, Benson, Sarabento, and when we had to defend our box, we defended it immensely well, like we have done throughout this year, and then we score a goal to win the game.
Your defensive solidity has been well talked about and the records are well documented, but how pleasing as a manager you can make changes to it, you can change the formation and yet it's still all there?
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows our adaptability. I think more importantly what it shows is that players coming into this team who maybe have not played a long time, players who have been out injured, people coming, making their debuts have not been around the group.
Straight to the tunnel at Twickenham where we can find our rugby correspondent Chris Jones.
I've got one of England's match winners, made a big impact off the bench, Ollie Chesham. How about that, Ollie?
Yeah, delighted. The boys have been working so hard, and I think sometimes when you don't get the results, you can feel like, something's got to come, but the boys have just stayed patient, worked so hard in the week, really pulled together as a group. Obviously, huge occasion for some of the boys. Finn, Tom first starts, Maro's first game back here as captain, so we're just delighted for the group, and hopefully we can sort of take this forward now.
Last minute try, then you had to resource the kick-off, which hasn't always worked in the last few months. Just how much did you as a group need this win today, Ollie?
You always want to win, don't you? That's the nature of what we do. But yeah, you can't hide from the obvious. We've not had the results that we wanted to in the last sort of 6 months or so. But like I say, we've always had faith as a group that it'd come good. The hard work, the coaching staff. So delighted with this win. Like I say, we've got 3 more to go now in the competition. So hopefully we can take this all going forward.
We'll go and enjoy it. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Ollie Chesham live with us, Maz.
Chris, thank you. Chris Jones, our rugby union correspondent. Plenty more reaction to come from Twickenham after second half commentary of Birmingham against Newcastle. There'll also be lots of reactions while available on the Rugby Union Weekly pod. That will be available to download shortly from wherever you get your podcast providers. Let's head to St Andrews then. John Murray, there was a very dramatic second half at Twickenham, and it was all going on in the first half of your match as well.
It sounds as though the last sort of 45 minutes to an hour has been a tremendous period of live sport, because you've had that going on Sports Extra, and we've had a real ding-dong of an FA Cup tie here.
Yeah, all going on. So 2-2 at half-time between Birmingham and Newcastle. Leon Osman alongside John Murray. Players are just coming out for the start of the second half. So I will hand you over to John Murray to describe us through the next 45 minutes from St Andrews.
Yes, thank you very much, Maz. Welcome everyone to a very murky, very cold St Andrews, but we've had a cup tie to really warm this February evening. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2, the League One leaders against the new Carabao Cup finalists. Newcastle United 6th in the Premier League. We had a goal after 40 seconds from Ethan Laird to put Birmingham City in front. Then Newcastle scored twice in 4 minutes through Willock and Wilson. But then we saw what has to be one of the goals of the weekend, as Newcastle are going to make a change. Sean Longstaff is being it's Bruno Guimaraes who is being substituted, and Sandro Tonali is coming on to replace the Newcastle United captain. But the equaliser, Tomoki Iwata's goal, Leon, was an absolute snorter.
Yeah, it was. In keeping with the game, to be honest, it's been a really good FA Cup tie. It always is when you start with a goal so quickly. I mean, Birmingham really set the tone with the build-up, the atmosphere, the stadium, everything that went in to the game, and they started it brilliantly. Newcastle responded really, really well. But that goal, was certainly the goal of the first half, and I hope we get the same in the second.
So do I. I hope half-time doesn't disrupt things. Here's Osula, who was one of the stars of the first half. As Leon was describing him, if you were listening to us on Sports Extra, Leon, you've described him as...
Raw.
Yeah. He is a raw talent. The Newcastle United number 18, the 21-year-old Danish under-21 international. Newcastle in possession with Emil Kraft. Newcastle, Eddie Howe making 9 changes from the team that started the second leg of the Cup semi-final on Wednesday night at St James's Park. So just Dan Burn and Bruno Guimaraes started the 2 matches, and as you've heard, Bruno Guimaraes has already been taken off at half-time, which I suspect, maybe there's an injury, Leon, but I suspect that might have been part of the plan.
Yeah, I think that would have been predetermined, that him and Tonali are planning on playing 45 minutes each. The only thing would have been a toss of the coin, who starts the game.
Here's Willock on the left-hand side. We've got a fine rain. It's like low cloud, isn't it? It's sort of hanging in the air, this mizzle, drizzle, whatever you want to call it. The finest of fine rain.
I like mizzle.
Yeah, mizzle's good. I quite like drizzle, old-fashioned. Here's Targett on the left-hand side. He's not had much football this season, Matt Targett, like one or two of these players, Lewis Miley, and of course Callum Wilson, who's making his first start of the season and has scored his first goal as well from all of a yard and a half out, as the ball is played over the top by Longstaff out towards the left-hand side. Newcastle attacking towards the old railway stand to our right. That's where all of their supporters are, nearly 6,000 of them. But a poor touch from Longstaff, and now it's been taken forward by the Birmingham City top scorer Jay Stansfield, but he loses possession. Newcastle come again. Wilson's over on the left-hand side. Willock takes it up. Strong start from Newcastle here. They've sort of taken it by the scruff of the neck after the events of the first half. It looks like they're trying to impose their Premier League selves on the game, Leon.
Yeah, I would expect that was a message at half-time from Eddie Howe, because they started slowly in the first half. Not necessarily their fault. I just thought Birmingham started brilliantly with winning the first long ball forward, getting a corner kick, well-worked corner kick. But after being behind after 40 seconds, this stadium erupted, and Newcastle found it difficult just to stay in the game at that period. So sure, at half-time he said, let's get out, let's start strong, impose ourselves on the game and take control.
Here's a pass for Osula down the right-hand side. Tall, gangly, blonde, dyed hair, crossing now from the right via a deflection off Cochrane, the Birmingham left-back, which has taken it right out to the far side, and actually it's going to be allowed by Willock to bounce out of play for a throw-in to Newcastle. I'll run you through the teams in full when we get a chance, but Newcastle with this high-tempo start to the second half. Here's the teenager, Lewis Miley, spent much of this season out injured. Right-footed ball into the penalty area that is headed by Wilson. It bounces towards the penalty spot. Davis clears, but the referee spotted an infringement in there, and it is a free kick to Birmingham, who have Peacock Farrell in goal. Big moment in the first half when he saved an effort from Willock, which was given as a goal, but there's a big question over whether it crossed the line before he pushed it out. The Birmingham City goalkeeper, it was given by a combination of referee and assistant.
Yeah, it was awfully close. It was, to the naked eye, difficult to see. As you said, the assistant was waving furiously on the far side of the field. I wasn't quite sure I understood what his flag was trying to tell us, but yeah, he gave the decision that the referee backed up.
Fourth round of the FA Cup, the Emirates FA Cup. Fifth round of the Scottish Cup, and another goal in the Celtic Wraith Rovers match with you, Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, John, Yang with 2 assists now with a goal. Ball whipped over to deep to that back post area, and he tapped it home. Celtic 4-0 up against Wraith Rovers.
So Celtic on the way through, and Osula is picked up for a foul on Ethan Laird. So it's a free kick to Birmingham, and Osula is already on a yellow card, so he has got to be very careful here, despite his rawness. I think Laird is going to be okay. It was Laird who opened the scoring in the first minute. As I say, 40 seconds on the clock after a corner, Dowell's corner, headed back across by Anderson and beautifully struck in actually via a deflection from Laird to make it 1-0. And Willock and Wilson, and then Tomoki Iwata, the former Celtic midfielder, who rattled in his 7th goal of the season. And that means it's Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. That equaliser for 2-2 coming in the 40th minute. So Birmingham City 18 matches unbeaten, not lost a match since November in all competitions. Free kick, Dowell to take this. Lovely delivery across the back line, and no one at all got a touch, and it rolls out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, really good ball, really well whipped into that area behind that Newcastle defensive line with a good bit of bend to try and bring it back with that left foot. Birmingham just couldn't quite go to the end of it. It was a really aggressive high line from Newcastle that just made sure that no Birmingham players would be able to be onside and get on the end of that cross.
Birmingham City level with Newcastle United, and one more FA Cup commentary to come tonight on 5 Live as well. Brighton Chelsea from 8 o'clock, so there's no 606 tonight. We'll go straight into that, and there will be 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage tomorrow night, when we have another bumper day of live sports commentary on 5 Live and Sports Extra from you all day long, actually, with the Super Bowl last thing tomorrow night, as the ball bounced for Newcastle out towards the left hand side. Willock over there through all of that drizzly rain is being challenged by Laird, and in the end the ball bounces out of play for a throw-in to Birmingham City. Birmingham City fans on their feet over there, not bothered about that rain drifting down on their heads. Newcastle United supporters in great voice, great spirits as well. They'll all be planning what they're going to do on March the 16th, no doubt. I think the club are announcing ticket plans for the final, the Carabao Cup final, on Monday afternoon, and they are in great demand. I've already, Leon, this week had a friend of a friend on, wondering if I know how to get a ticket for the final. Long downfield from the free kick from Peacock Farrell, that bounces out of play. So Birmingham have Peacock Farrell in goal, the back four of Laird, the captain Clara, Ben Davis and Cochrane, then Iwata in midfield with Dowell and Leonard, Scott Wright and Keshi Anderson, and then Jay Stansfield through the middle, the 17-goal top scorer. He's done a big interview with Aaron Paul, actually. There's a 72 plus podcast special that you will find on the 5 Live Football Daily feed on BBC Sounds. If you search Football Daily, it'll be on there. As Newcastle play it forward all the way through to Peacock Farrell. You can clearly see his breath on the air on this cold night. Long and forward from him, but that's cut out by Dan Byrne, who has Stansfield snapping away at him, and Stansfield also wins it back from target and then plays it infield. Little shimmy from Leonard, but Newcastle are able to deal with it. Tonali came across to the halfway line. Here's Cochrane for Birmingham. Cochrane quickly closed down, so it goes back to captain Clara, who will return it to Peacock Farrell. And the Newcastle team now, Nick Pope coming back in after a 13-match absence, as Laird gets up well down the right, pulls the ball across the penalty area. There's no one there in a blue shirt. Livramento is able to control, but he delayed his clearance, and Anderson's been able to win it back, and now it is Anderson against Livramento. Osceola comes back to try and help him out, but Anderson, change of feet, keeps possession for Birmingham, then gives it to Mark Leonard. Anderson, Dowell under pressure from Tonali, then the cross from Leonard towards the back post, and Target gets his head to it under pressure from Laird, although the final touch must have been off Laird, and it's given us a goal kick.
Well, that's been a real avenue of attack for Birmingham, and there's a bit of concern now, because that man Laird, who we're just talking about, is just maybe asking for a bit of treatment, holding his left knee as he's maybe limping away. But every opportunity that they've had, they've actually allowed him to move from right back into a really aggressive right wing position, sometimes even inside that target, closer to Dan Byrne, and they've just popped the ball into those areas. Of anything that has been in and around there, he's got first contact, he's won the ball, and Dan Byrne's had a really tough evening. We're talking Dan Byrne, he's also now walking to this side of the field. He looks like he's not going to continue either.
No, he's not, and so Dan Byrne makes way. Dan Byrne, who had a spell here, despite the Birmingham City supporters crying "whom" when his name was read out. Scher is going to come on for Byrne, and also that's it for Callum Wilson, who got on the score sheet in the first half, and Jacob Murphy is going to come on to replace him. So a double change for Newcastle. Eddie Howe, I'm sure, will be conscious of the effort that the players put in on Wednesday night, and and we'll be watching the minutes.
No surprise about Callum Wilson. He's not played an awful lot of football this season. I think he had 10 minutes in the week, and then, you know, to get 54 minutes out of him now, having got in at half time, got his body up and going again in the second half, which is always difficult. So I didn't think he'd last too much longer, and I'd be disappointed if Dan Burns picked up an injury, but he has had a really difficult evening. Stansfield in and around his feet, pressing him, and you know, Birmingham seems to have set up the press on Dan Burns, so yeah, they'll hope he hasn't picked up an injury, but it wasn't an easy night for him.
No, it wasn't, as it hasn't been for Newcastle, as we knew it wouldn't be with Birmingham City in this confident form that they're in. Top of League One, 4 points clear of Wycombe, who were knocked out of the FA Cup themselves earlier. Wycombe losing on penalties to Preston. If you missed that match went to penalties. Preston won it, and Stoke City going out to Cardiff after that match went to penalties as well. The two earlier matches that went the full distance, which with this scoreline we would be having extra time, Leon.
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody really wants extra time. I think everybody would much rather the game just burst into life again and we started to see goals aplenty. But it has just calmed down a little bit. It's been a little bit more competitive in the middle of the field rather at both ends, which we were seeing in the first half.
Jacob Murphy now has taken up a position on the right hand side, so the gangly Osula has gone through the middle, and we've got a stoppage because one of the Birmingham players, it's not Laird, I thought it might be Laird, who seems to be okay.
I think it's Leonard.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what's happened, but he seems to be in a lot of pain. I'll just see it again. Oh yeah, it's a right foot, the studs. I'm not sure who it was. I just see in the replay it's Miley who's just, they go into a tackle and Leonard goes to the slide really early, and as he does, he wins the ball first, and Miley misses the ball and pretty much just stamps on the left shin just below the knee of Leonard. And he's been impressive tonight, he really has. You said he came in for an injury, and he's been a very cultured performer. He's been very competitive. He's had a really good evening. He won't want to have to leave through injury. It wasn't the prettiest of tackles that from Miley by any stretch of the imagination.
Leon, if we had VAR, might that be a red card for Lewis Miley?
It would certainly be looked at. I think the fact that Leonard is on the floor early, and you know, and I don't think Miley's really raised his studs yet. I don't think he's raised his studs into the air. The contact is pretty much an inch off the floor, but it isn't nice. It'll certainly be a sore one, and you know, it wouldn't have surprised me had that been at least a yellow card.
Yeah. No VAR though, and as we discovered in the first half, no goal line technology either at League One grounds. Hence the fact that Joe Willock's goal was given, so it remains 2-2. And yeah, there is concern for Mark Leonard here. They've already lost Taylor Gardner-Hickman from the midfield, which is why Mark Leonard's come in to start this one. Gardner-Hickman, who's on loan from Bristol City but got injured in training, but he's been a big part of this Chris Davis Birmingham City success so far this season. And let's not forget, Newcastle are in a cup final. Birmingham City are now just one win away from a cup final as well in the EFL Trophy after their victory against Stevenage on Tuesday night. Much changed team after that, and Chris Davis is calling across his players, because Mark Leonard, I'm not sure he's going to need the stretcher, but it is there, he's still being tended to. So Chris Davis, the Birmingham City manager, has called everyone across and is going to have a chat with them. So it's a stoppage here certainly for a little while longer, which gives us a chance to get the team news in full from Lee Blakeman ahead of Brighton-Chelsea. Lee.
Yes, John, Chelsea makes 6 changes from the win over West Ham, but Cole Palmer and Jadon Sancho both start. Nicholas Jackson is not in the squad. Brighton, after that 7-0 drubbing at Nottingham Forest, make just one change, would you believe, as Carlos Baleba replaces João Pedro.
Just the one change? That's interesting, Leon.
Yeah, it happens at times. You know, when you've had a bad result, it's basically you get back out there and you show that was just a one-off. You give your team the opportunity to go and put things right. If it obviously happens again, then serious questions are to be asked.
Leonard still down, still receiving treatment, so this looks as though it might be a nasty one for him after the challenge from Lewis Miley. Just while he's down, if you've been out and about this afternoon and haven't heard, the dramatic win for England. It's 26-25, wasn't it, in the end? The England the win in the Six Nations. dramatic commentary on 5 Live before we arrived on the scene, Leon. And then in the Scottish Cup, Celtic Wraith Rovers. What's the latest with you, Gavin Wallace?
Still 4-0 to Celtic, John. Celtic at this point just kind of take the off the gas. They're easily through into those quarter-finals to try and retain that trophy, but just now they're passing it about. Jeffrey Schultz, he played well. He's just come off. He's on loan from Crystal Palace, but at the moment, Celtic 4, Wraith Rovers 0.
They are going to make a change. Birmingham City, the Icelandic international, Willemsson, is going to come on. He's missed the last 7 matches. He's only just fit again, but he's been a big player for Birmingham City this season. Already through in the FA Cup, Manchester City after a bit of a fright. I was listening to that on the way down to Birmingham this morning. So Manchester City through, Bournemouth, Burnley, Millwall, Ipswich and Fulham in our 3 o'clock commentary, where Fulham won in the end by 2-1. Not as easy as it sounded as though it was going to be in the early stages of that match. In the Women's FA Cup 5th round, what's the latest between Wolves and Manchester United? Ross Heaton.
There's just been a goal in the last 8, awaits the holders now. They have a 5th. It's Marid Griffiths, the young substitute, tapping in on the goal line. 87 minutes played. Wolves 0, Manchester United 5.
So still Leon Osman, Mark Leonard receiving lengthy treatment.
Yeah, he's in a lot of pain, and it seems a real shame that this is happening after a wonderful performance.
Yeah, and he's now been lifted into that orange stretcher and will leave the field. And it's a real concern for Birmingham City. He did make changes, made 3 changes, Chris Davis, from the team that started in the league here against Rotherham last weekend, so it's a strong team. And as I say, he's lost Gardner Hickman to an injury in training, and now Mark Leonard being stretchered off, and they'll need all hands on deck, even though they have got probably the strongest squad in League One, top of the table. But everyone on their feet here applauding Mark Leonard, and applause as well for Willemsson, who is onto the field now to replace him, the tall, very tall midfielder.
Yeah, it's frustrating, when you've waited for your opportunity, you've come in, you've performed as you have done, and you pick up an injury like this, a contact injury, pretty unavoidable as far as he's concerned.
So we will resume very shortly. Another goal at Celtic, Gavin Wallace.
Literally, John, you just left me, and Dyson Meira decided he fancied the hat-trick, bundled it into the back post from a low cross from Luke McCowan. Celtic 5, Wraith Rovers 0.
Well, we've seen a fantastic goal tonight from his former teammate Tomoki Iwata. Look out for that one on Match of the Day tonight, the FA Cup Match of the Day, which will be on after the news on BBC One, anytime on the iPlayer, and details on all of those earlier matches as well, and all of everything you need to know on the football pages of the BBC Sport website and app. Mark Leonard is now fully strapped to that stretcher. He is, he's been leaning forward, he's been leaning up, he's fully compos mentis, but he's been wheeled away down the touchline and off to receive treatment for that injury. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. Free kick to Newcastle over on the far to Birmingham City over on the far side after foul on Laird.
Yeah, real coming together. Goal kick or a kick forward from Peacock Farrell again, right onto the head of Laird, and this time Target has just tried to go and meet him. He's tried to challenge him, use his body as well. Laird still won the ball, big contact, free kick, easy decision for the referee.
Free kick then for Birmingham City. The score is 2-2 here in the Midlands rain. Free kick, Dowell, long, and Pope comes a long way out, almost to the very edge of the penalty area, in amongst a crowd of players, and catches the ball. That is positive goalkeeping.
Yeah, he was on the starting blocks. He could see what Birmingham were trying to do. He knew that the big centre-halves had gone round the back, and the moment that ball went in the air from Dowell, he was already setting off and picked it out the sky.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? Places to play for in a cup final, not least for the goalkeeper. After Dubravka has started this run of matches on the bench for the FA Cup, Nick Pope's come back, and of course Nick Pope missed the cup final 2 years ago. Remember, he was suspended after being sent off.
Yeah, I remember that. So disappointing for him, and he'll want to play, but Dubravka's earned the shirt at the moment, hasn't he? He's been very impressive after talks of him leaving. He's cemented that number 1 spot.
Yeah, talks and tears as well after that first leg when he looked as though it was tearful goodbye, but he's still here. Here's Livramento. back to Jacob Murphy. Now Tonali, but no one read it, so the ball just trundles through and eventually rolls out of play. Cochrane was able to shield it from Murphy, and it's a goal kick to Birmingham. Still 2-2, 25 minutes to play, and with this scoreline, extra time beckons.
It feels a little bit flat, doesn't it, after all the excitement?
The first half.
It was so exciting, the atmosphere.
Anyone listening, Leon, will be thinking, what were they getting so excited about?
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic in the first half, and as I said, going into half-time, you just wondered whether managers would just give them information just to stop the opposition getting an advantage, and seems to be the case. They find it a little bit more difficult to get in these openings in the second half.
Now Cher, as the ball was played forward for Birmingham, Cher was trying to also, as Cochrane did a few moments ago, Cher was trying to shield the ball from Stansfield, and as he did so, Stansfield has sort of pulled him over, and Cher's gone straight off the pitch, slipped down the little slope there, and he's rattled against the advertising hoardings, and that might have been a sore one for Fabian Cher.
I'll tell you what, he's a competitor, is Stansfield. I mean, he doesn't let any ball just run out aimlessly. Every time a Newcastle player might think they've got, an easy moment, he's in the situation, and he surprises people by his pace. He certainly surprised Dan Burn in the first half. He kept trying to run round him. On this occasion, Cher is just trying to let the ball run out. Stansfield runs round him. Cher has to lean over and try use his backside and his arm to stop him running round, and in doing so just lost his balance. Stansfield just with a slight tug on his shirt as he's gone out, and he's fell to the ground and into the hoardings. And Stansfield's just been booked.
I was going to say, judging by the reaction of the Birmingham fans in the Kop stand over there, yellow card.
It was a long time in coming, that yellow card. The referee didn't give anything at first until, Cher stayed down for 40 seconds or so. It was only once he got back to his feet that the yellow card was issued.
Matthew Donoghue is the referee. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. This is a difficult place to referee. I would imagine in the refereeing community they will be talking about St Andrews again, and this crowd do not need any invitation to put the pressure on the officials. 5,000, 6,000 actually Newcastle United supporters watching in the railway stand to our right. Newcastle attacking towards them, and Stansfield on the yellow card now. Ball forward from the back by Kraft, cut out on the halfway line. It's Laird again is clattered into, this time by Willock, and it's a yellow card for Willock now for that challenge on Laird. Well, a yellow card shortly after Stansfield was booked.
Yeah, initial reaction was that one's harsh as well. I think he's just expecting that the ball is going to come in his path. I think Laird, who has been very proactive all night, just steps into the situation. Willock's actually pulling his foot out a little bit away from it. Not a yellow card. Yes, a foul. I don't think it's a yellow card for me. The referee seems to have just found a little bit of momentum with his card book.
Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2. That's Leon Osman with us on 5 Live. BBC Sounds as well, all BBC radios on there. You'll find 5 Live on BBC Sounds. Listen on the move, nothing like live radio, nothing like live sport on the radio, as we have evidenced for you today. That Leyton Orient Manchester City match was quite something. And City, I think they'll be quite relieved to have got through that in the end, judging by listening to Chris Wise and Chris Sutton on the way down here earlier. I still haven't seen the goal. Have you seen the goal?
No, I haven't.
The Donnelly goal, well, the own goal as it was.
Here.
Yeah. Anyway,
on the radio.
Indeed, you'll be able to see the clips on the website. Throw in for Birmingham City on the far side, still 2-2. As Dowell has a go from distance, that was from 30 yards plus. Not as far as Donnelly, I don't think. Chris Sutton said that was 50 yards. That was definitely 30, pushing 35, but it was high over the top of the crossbar by 5 yards or so. Why not have the goal?
He has the quality with his left foot. He has the ability. He's got the range. It's never really looked convincing as he was stepping onto it. Certainly not as convincing as Iwata was as he stepped onto his efforts in the first half.
Dowell, born in Ormskirk,
where I
Leon.
Yeah.
Yes, as Birmingham come through the middle. Former Everton youngster Dowell, but now on loan from Rangers here at Birmingham City, having arrived just in this recent transfer window. Newcastle in danger of losing it here, and it is taken on to the byline. They cross from the right-hand side from Williamson, and then a foul inside the penalty area, a challenge inside the penalty area, that in actual fact Williamson was in an offside position, and it's a free kick to Newcastle United. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle 2, but the Birmingham City fans here certainly adding to the feverish atmosphere inside St Andrews. Back to Celtic Wraith Rover, back to Wolves Manchester United in the Women's FA Cup. Ross Heaton.
Manchester United won 6-0 here against the Bucky part-timers to make the last 8. Turland and Galton with clinical first half finishes. Mannion and Toon quickly after the restart. Griffiths got 2 late on. A lovely moment for Wolves. Lily Simpkin made her debut in front of her dad Darren, who played in the old goal in the 1990s. It's finished here. Wolves 0, Manchester United 6.
Newcastle with the ball halfway inside their own half. On the subject of relatives, the Icelandic international Willem Williamson, who is just caught offside there as the ball is that's given us a free kick for the challenge over there on the far side by Clara on Willock, who's ended up being bundled off the pitch.
He's got his hands on his head, Clara, and I've got no idea how he can manage to look that innocent after what he's just done. It was good from Willock as the ball came into his feet. He just let the pace of the ball do all the work. He let it roll across him, and Clara knew he'd been beaten. He couldn't turn quick enough to keep up with Willock, and he just ran into him and just completely barged him off the pitch, like shoulder to shoulder. Poor Willock didn't have a chance of getting out the way with it, and he ended up on the track around the side of the game. I have no idea how Clara could put his hands on his head. It was ridiculous.
Yellow card. Yellow card, absolute certainty. Free kick is played into the edge of the box. Bender, ball is drilled goalwards, and then an effort from the right-hand side by Murphy, but that was comfortably saved by Peacock Farrell. The initial shot from Tino Livramento that found its way to Murphy, but straight at the goalkeeper. There is one thing that footballers do as Murphy attacks down the right-hand side. Murphy cuts onto his left foot, uses his right though, blocked though. Here is Big Williamson, bounces off him to Tonali, and the Italian plays it into the penalty area. Osula is there, carries it back out towards the right-hand side. He's got Livramento if he wants to use him. Livramento moves it from right foot to left foot and then passes it back towards Target, who's nearer the halfway line. Footballers, you cannot be a professional footballer unless you can do that reaction.
I knew you were going to say that.
Osula through the middle, it bounces to Tonali. Tonali then into the penalty area, a flick from Murphy, but not into the path of Tonali. Ben Davis was able to clear for Birmingham. Livramento, Newcastle turning it up here, 2-2 the score. Murphy with a cross, Ben Davis does well to come across and head it away in front of Willock. And now the dangerous Stansfield, black and white striped shirts all around him. He's actually come out with the ball. It bounced away off Target, and now Stansfield again slips it through to Dowell. Dowell drives it across left-footed, right on the edge of the box. His shot is blocked, and it bounces for Newcastle and Tonali, who fly kicks it away on the volley into the centre circle. Birmingham there demonstrating again that they have got a bit about them, as the cross from the far side from Williamson is blocked, and Newcastle could be away now, although with the challenge that Williamson put in there, I think he caught Willock, who went hobbling away from the challenge and has now gone down, and I think the referee has brought it back for the free kick.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of challenges, if I'm being honest. I think he doesn't get a yellow card for that. He's quite fortunate. I mean, Williamson's joined the action. He isn't as mobile as the rest of his teammates have been, and he couldn't get up in support of that brilliant attack again from Birmingham. Stansfield leading the fight, as he has done all night. Real attitude for the game and to be involved in everything. Dowell gets forward as well, but Williamson couldn't get forward, and then when Newcastle broke, he gave the ball away, and Willock had done him all end up for pace, and he just tried to bring him down. He just lunged into him, and he was never getting the ball, and he caught him just below the knee initially. Maybe he was scraped down, and that is
not a great challenge, that either.
Not at all.
Another one.
Yeah, he got away. If he's getting away with that one,
I think he is going to be. The Newcastle players have asked the question here, certainly. Not in an aggressive way, but they were up to referee Donahue, and there is the yellow card for.
He was on a break as well, wasn't he? So
was.
even if you don't think the yellow card was for the serious challenge. The fact that Willock was breaking away and Newcastle
He's
maybe had 3v3.
He's still 10 yards inside his own half at least, I think, when the initial challenge was put in. But big Willemsen, who is 6'4", 6'5", in the Icelandic style, as his name suggests, his dad is called Willem as well, Willemsen, and his dad was a former player, former manager, who then became a politician, and at one stage was actually Iceland's Minister for Health. And his son plays in midfield for Birmingham City.
So he is Willemsen.
He is Willemsen. And indeed, his son will be Willemsen. If he has a son, he will also be Willemsen.
Brilliant.
That's how it works. Full time at Celtic, Gavin Wallace.
Celtic 5, Raith Rovers 0. A hat-trick from Dyson Maeda. John grabs the headlines. Yang and McCowan providing the sideshow. Celtic cruise into the quarters. Celtic 5, Raith Rovers 0.
And as we hear the unmistakable tones of Gavin Wallace, almost on cue, we see the Scotland international Lyndon Dykes step forward. So he's going to be on, the Australian-born Scotland international. And it's going to be a triple change by Chris Davis. Alfie May, the ever-popular Alfie May, is going to come on. Listen to the reception that he gets. Keshi Anderson is the first player to make way. Also coming on, the club captain Christian Bielik, the Polish international. Jay Stansfield is being substituted. And so Dykes and May on, Stansfield coming off, and the other player to be substituted is Scott Wright. So the three most forward players are being changed by Chris Davis, and that's a different sort of challenge altogether now, Leon, with big Lyndon Dykes up there and Alfie May, who is very, very effective.
Yeah, goal scorer. He's got goals in him. May, so is Dykes. And the way they've started attacks all evening has been that long diagonal to Laird. They won't need to do that now. Dykes will be able to compete better aerially than Stansfield did. But what they will miss is the energy Stansfield showed. He looked like he was tiring, but he has left everything out on the pitch.
And also on a yellow card as well, Stansfield, which might have been part of the thinking. Birmingham do play in the league again on Tuesday against Cambridge United here, and obviously promotion is the priority. But the way that they are with their current confidence, it would not surprise me in the slightest if next season Birmingham City were challenging in the Championship. There's a lot of water to pass under the bridge before then, but as I say, they've got something good going here, Birmingham City, under this current ownership after everything, that chaotic season last season. They had 6 different managers last season. Here is Livramento, cross from the right-hand side. Ball is cleared away though by Davis. Ball not out of play yet. Livramento plays it infield. It's 2-2 if you've just joined us here. Excellent cup tie. No further goals in the second half. Murphy playing it into the box. That's blocked in the area by Clara. Now Willock, and over there on the left-hand side, the cross to the back post. It's reached Livramento. Livramento turns it back. Longstaff misses his kick, and it doesn't bounce for Willock. And Birmingham are able to scrape it away. Slightly panic stations in the Birmingham City defence then. We haven't seen that too often, as Livramento now receives it on the right flank again. Murphy behind him. Murphy's little ball in, Longstaff's giving it away, and Cochrane's able to pass it out of play on the halfway line. Yeah,
it was a bit panicky there for Birmingham. Just a couple of swings, misses, trying to get the ball clear. Good pressure from Newcastle, trying to work openings, getting the overlap after attacking down the right, working the ball to the left to get that overlap. Just couldn't find the right person to get a good tap in.
We've got commentary coming on Brighton-Chelsea from 8 o'clock, but we are less than 15 minutes away from extra time here in the gloom of St Andrews. St Andrews at Knighthead Park, to give it its full title, after the owners. Here's Murphy to Livramento. Livramento's ball across, that's blocked by defender at the near post. Davis comes back to the England international, the right back Livramento, then Longstaff back to Target, and Sean Longstaff now. Birmingham have got everyone back behind the ball. Newcastle trying to find a way through. Livramento, then Murphy with the cross, which is going to drift all the way over the far top corner and behind, and it's a goal kick for Birmingham. And here's the crowd figure. And that is a sellout here at St Andrews.
Yeah, and they've been enjoying a really good evening's football. And Newcastle, I just feel like maybe just on top for the last 5 minutes or so. Those substitutions haven't been able to settle and affect the game yet for Birmingham. Obviously not had much time yet, but Newcastle just starting to move the ball, get a bit more possession in the wide areas, commit bodies forward into that Birmingham City penalty area, but just haven't had the efforts yet.
Leon Osman with us, former England and Everton midfielder. Ball chested down by Cher, but the Blues fans howling for a penalty for handball, ignored by the referee. Tonali has been caught in possession. It's been brought, but it's then given as a foul on him, which, as you can hear, is being somewhat disputed. Iwata's challenge, free kick to Newcastle.
Well, there's a couple of decisions that have took an age, and you know, when you're looking at referees, sometimes he allowed play on from that challenge to the point he saw Birmingham had an attack. He started to sprint after the attack. He did about 4 or 5 yards to join the attack, and then decided, after he'd already tried to play on, that it was a foul after all. Tonali obviously wanted the free kick. Yes, there was maybe a bit of a coming together. I wasn't sure that a foul was necessary, and actually Newcastle get away with one there.
As Longstaff wins the ball back, and now it's taken on into the penalty area by Miley. Miley gets the cross in, but it's taken down calmly by Peacock Farrell, the goalkeeper, and the Birmingham fans felt that was a foul by Longstaff to win the ball back for Newcastle.
Yeah, but they were very similar. I've got to be honest to this Birmingham crowd that, you know, I suppose you just want the consistency, but Newcastle nearly getting in. Miley, he's played quite well tonight. He's done all the basics really, really well. He's moved the ball really well for this Newcastle team. Found an opening, just couldn't quite get that half a yard he needed to get a shot. Good defending from that Birmingham midfield.
Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 2, and it is now almost 7:30. So the 8 o'clock kickoff we might join that. Well, let's see. Here come Newcastle with Willock just outside the box, works it all the way across to Livramento, just outside the penalty area, then into the area for Longstaff, tried to force the cross, then the shot from the angle. Willock was in there to drive it low past Peacock Farrell and into the back of the net, and Newcastle for the second time tonight have edged themselves in front. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 3.
Yeah, he does this so well. Well, I felt Newcastle were gaining the momentum in this game. I don't think the substitutions have helped Birmingham City. I can understand them. They are trying to make sure that they're pushing for this league. He wanted to make changes, but the substitutes haven't had the same intensity. And Newcastle have pounced. They've moved forward. They've spread the play. They've dominated down both sides of the field. And Livramento has started to get a number of touches. Osula has started to become figure heavily as well. And they're just moving the ball, Newcastle, creating overloads in the wide areas. It's Willock who plays the pass to Livramento initially from that left-hand side to Livramento at right back. He gets a nice overlap, or underlap I would say actually, from Longstaff. And he doesn't give him a perfect pass. He leaves Longstaff in for a tackle as much as anything. And the ball just ricochets 3 yards away. But the only person on the move at that moment was Willock, and he arrives at the ball right on cue, 3 yards out on the half, on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he fires it hard and low through the legs of Peacock Farrell. It's one of those, it's awkward for a goalkeeper, he can't do anything about it. And it's a good finish from Willock. He hit the target, he put power on it, and Newcastle have found themselves ahead.
Joe Willock with his second goal of the night, edging Newcastle United back in front against the League One leaders. And his movement, Joe Willock's movement there, was excellent as Birmingham City down the other end force a corner for the home side. But that was an object lesson in movement from Willock, who initially was on the left side of the penalty area outside the box, involved in the build-up to the goal. Yeah. As Birmingham make another change, Leon.
Yeah, he saw a nice pass, didn't he? And he just threaded it through the eye of a needle, and they just kept on moving, just kept on trying to find a new space, kept on trying to see where the ball will potentially fall, where there would potentially be space. And if you do that and your timing's as good as his has been, quite often things will fall your way.
Iwata is being substituted. Grant Hanley's coming on, who had a spell at Newcastle, was actually promoted with Newcastle. Here's the Birmingham corner. It's gone a long way to the back post, and Pope, stretching out a leg next to the foot of the post, actually kicks it away round the post. for a corner from the other side. It landed in a crowd of players, deflected goalwards, and Pope raced across his goal line and was able to deflect it away.
What a good save, especially to the fact he had to move his feet so quickly. He came out into the bodies, the 6-yard box, backed off to his own goal frame and made the save with his legs.
Here's the next corner into the back post, headed across the box by Clara, comes out for the shot from Laird. That was blocked on the edge of the box. Newcastle on their way through here with this scoreline, but Birmingham trying to find another equaliser, but that's out of play. And it's a throw into Newcastle halfway inside their own half. I think it might have been Clara with the contact that was initially saved by Pope.
Yeah, it was a really good header. I would have thought he'd have scored at that moment. As you connect, if you're that far out and you connect with a header in that way, more often than not you think you've scored, especially when Pope was on the 6-yard line moments before. He backed off so quickly, moved those feet for a big man and made the save with his right shin, his right legs.
Bielik, I think it was. I'm trying to. Oh, it was Dykes. Trying to lip read John Southall. I've never been the best lip reader. You know that whole thing about putting your hand across your face. That wouldn't be necessary with me. Throwing to Newcastle, who are now less than 5 minutes away plus added time from going through to the 5th round of the FA Cup. Finalists already in the Carabao Cup. This would constitute a very good win for Newcastle, I think, in the circumstances. They've become only the second team to beat Birmingham here this season after Fulham, as Osula has gone down intimating that he's been hurt by the Dowell challenge. He's got the free kick nevertheless, and it's a free kick for Newcastle, who will, I'm absolutely certain, manage the game here, Leon.
Yeah, he's had a good evening as well. He's now playing right through the middle, centre forward since Wilson left the field, and he's been just as effective up there he has in the wide areas. He can move the ball so quickly. He's very sharp. Those long legs seem to be able to reach absolutely everything. It's caught the Birmingham defenders out on numerous occasions when they think they've got the ball, and he just reaches a leg out, not just to touch it, to actually wrap it in with the skill that he's got. Good performance.
3 minutes to go plus added time. Newcastle heading through, 3-2 up. Birmingham were in front in the first minute. Newcastle led before the half hour, 2-2 at half time, and now Newcastle in front again. Murphy with this free kick curled in, comes up a Birmingham head, which takes it right across the penalty area into the full-back position. Laird receives it on the far side. Laird goes on and runs away and then overhits his pass. Might have been being fouled. I think that's the point that the Birmingham fans are making. No free kick though. Referee Donahue is absolutely guaranteed to get a booing off at the end of this game. Murphy's ball infield bounces for Bielik, and Bielik's pass forward is back to the black and white striped shirts of Newcastle. Longstaff, who set up what could be the winning goal. Across it goes to Target over there on the left hand side. Matt Target for Newcastle, just his second start of the season. Then it comes back at Newcastle again. This one is cleared away by Cher. Now Willock, who's on a hat-trick here with the ball inside his own half. It's tapped across field for Livramento. He's got space in front of him against tiring Birmingham. Livramento then to Murphy. Low ball all the way across to Nolly with a shot. That was blocked. Still inside the area. Challenging there. Newcastle player Miley, I think it was, went down. I wondered whether that might have been a penalty. But no. And Newcastle then Birmingham break to the halfway line where Dykes is shoved over Target, and it's a free kick to Newcastle, and Target, I think, is suggesting that he's feeling a touch of cramp.
Yeah, he's not played an awful lot of football, so it wouldn't surprise you, because this has been a taxing game. Birmingham have made Newcastle work really hard to get themselves in this position. Great credit to Newcastle for doing so. Lord, they've had to really put the effort in to do it, and the fans will be pleased. It's been a good week for Newcastle, progressing into the cup final, coming here in tricky circumstances, being a goal behind them, going into the latter stages. What are we, a minute away from added time, and the lead in the game.
Yes, Eddie Howe making 9 changes from Wednesday night. Birmingham coming forward though. Here's Alfie May, couldn't quite latch onto that return pass from Bielik. Newcastle were able to clear it up towards the halfway line to Willock, but it comes back again. Laird again, he's been incredibly willing down that right hand side. Laird continues to take it on, bounces away from him. Tonali's going to try and see it over the dead ball line. I don't think it's got enough roll on it. It hasn't. He has to get a touch on the orange FA Cup ball up to Osula, who again rather awkwardly, gangly fashion into the challenge. Then a cross-field pass. I think it'll reach Murphy. Wasn't cut out by Cochrane. Murphy one-on-one with Peacock Farrell to win it for Newcastle. No! Went round the goalkeeper, but the defender was back to clear it away, arriving in the 6-yard box before it actually got to the goal line. Ben Davis put it behind. 12 minutes of added time. And everyone jumps up on their feet, Birmingham fans, as if to say, we've got a chance here.
Plenty of time left, but that should have been the game done there and then. That was a wonderful pass from the impressive Willock. Picks out Murphy. He had a simple pass to his left to Osula for a tap-in. He was a little bit selfish in wanting to go himself, dropped his shoulder, went round the goalkeeper, and brilliant last-ditch defending back there. I think it was Bellick who's just come on, who gets all the way. No, it's not.
Davis,
Davis gets all the way back.
Here's the corner for Newcastle, which Longstaff got his head to, but it was headed away out of the penalty area in the challenge on him. Murphy back to Longstaff. Now Livramento goes round Dykes and then plays it past Ney, and then Davis is able to come across. So 12 minutes of added time. Newcastle are going through with this scoreline. Dykes, excellent play from him past Longstaff, then infield to May, but he can't reach that, Alfie May, and Tonali's able to just allow the ball to roll into his path and plays it back to Pope. Made a couple of important saves, Nick Pope, in this match. Been a really good contest. And not over yet. Murphy on the right hand side, Cochrane in on the challenge. That bounces centrally. Here's Big Williamson, who is able to beat Tonali, and then plays it forward to Dykes, and Dykes through to May, who was in an offside position. He just edged beyond the back line, and it's Newcastle's ball. I think Pope was coming out to get there first anyway.
Yeah, Pope got into a good position, but it was just the lean of his body. He wanted to set off. There's no surprise about that. And the moment you'd start to lean into that position, and the defenders are just stepping up. It was good experienced defender, just stepped up or held his line at least. And that lean meant that May was offside. Yeah, overhit the pass as well, but it just shows a clever pass, another inch or two with there is still a chance potentially here for Birmingham to get the equaliser.
Yeah, if you're on your way home, you're nearly there. You might just catch the end of this with 12 minutes of added time to play. It's on BBC One right now. Highlights on Match of the Day tonight. Stacks and stacks more of live sport on 5 Live tomorrow and Sports Extra. Blackburn Wolves, 12:30 start for that. Then Scotland-Ireland, crucial Six Nations matches on at 3 o'clock. 5:35, another kick-off time that might catch you out for Aston Villa against Tottenham. Going to be at Villa Park tomorrow, Leon. And then the Super Bowl tomorrow night. I get the impression you're going to be glued to that.
I certainly will.
As will Tom Brady, of course. Birmingham City's Tom Brady. Here's Murphy. Murphy down the right, into the edge of the penalty area. Left foot shot, but it flies away beyond the top left corner. And the other thing tomorrow as well, don't miss it, Sunday morning, 10:30. After weekend breakfast, Colin Murray's programme with the Great Football Songbook. And we heard one of the great football songs, didn't we, tonight? Keep Right On to the End of the Road, that the Birmingham City supporters sing. It's a brilliant playlist that they come out with in the up to the kick-off here at St Andrews. And it looks as though tonight, though, they might not have quite enough. Although there is still time. 4 minutes of 12 minutes of added time. And it's a throw-in to Newcastle that Target will take. Over there on the far side, 10 yards inside his own half. I think that light rain has just increased in force slightly. As Livramento to Murphy turns it in field. Jacob Murphy, one of the goal-scoring heroes against Arsenal the other night. Anthony Gordon not involved at all, given the night off tonight. Anthony Gordon, as the ball is played all the way back to Pope. Then out to Cher. Long pass forward from Cher, but that will just give possession back to Birmingham. Clara, back pass slightly short to Peacock Farrell, but he was able to get there ahead of Miley. And then Bielik turns it towards the far side. Birmingham trying to bring it forward from the back. They've got real spirit, this Birmingham City team, and with all of this added time, I am certainly not counting them out yet in this match. Peacock Farrell over there to the far side again. Davis, long and right-footed from him, but that is onto the head of Scher, who can nod it down. Miley for Newcastle in centre field. He's challenged by Williamson, who's taken another piece of a Newcastle player, Williamson. And then it's all the way back to Pope in the Newcastle goal. First-time ball from him to Kraft, and Emil Kraft, who will be very grateful to get a start here up towards Osula, in with a challenge from Clara, and Birmingham City have got it back. 5 minutes of added time gone, so still 7 minutes to play. Commentary to come on Brighton against Chelsea, so don't go anywhere. Here is Clara at the back.
Yeah, there's a lot of tired legs out there for Birmingham City, but where they have got fresh legs is at the top of the field. They just need to get the ball forward.
Lyndon Dykes heading it on to Alfie May. Alfie May full of energy, infield onto his right foot, waiting for the chance, shoots low in the end but no power on it, and it just dribbled through to Nick Pope, who fell forwards onto it.
Yeah, it just didn't connect, did he? It was after a good long ball forward. They've been trying to play through the midfield, through the lines, and Kieran Dowell in there, others in there looking a little bit jaded at the moment. That one long ball forward to Dykes, knocked down to May, suddenly a shot on goal, and that might be the way forward.
When Manchester City were in trouble this morning, as Cochrane's header actually, he's headed it to Osula, and Osula will have a goal from the edge of the area, but that flies away over the top of the bar. When I was listening to Manchester City's troubles this morning, I was thinking back to when Alfie May, do you remember when Alfie May scored for Cheltenham against Manchester City, and they got to within 9 minutes of knocking them out, and then City scored a couple of late goals and went through. I remember listening to Conor McNamara commentating on that in the car as the ball is played forward for Birmingham City again. Not quite last ditch yet. 6th, 7th minute of added time, but time is very definitely running out for them. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 3. Newcastle 6th in the Premier League, already into a Wembley final, and if they get themselves a home tie on Monday night, you'll hear the draw on 5 Live, then they will fancy their chances against anyone at St James's Park. Long ball for Birmingham to the edge of the box. Kraft heads away. Bielik is able to get a touch. Here's Big Williamson. Now to Laird on the right hand side. Laird's cross blocked out of play for a throw-in on the far side. Laird. Chris Waddle always tells us how Jack Charlton always used to refer to his Newcastle players as the Lairds. Here's Davis. Ben Davis. Little ball in field to Bielik. Back to Davis again. Rolls the ball across for Hanley to strike it downfield, but Livramento in the way of that, and then Longstaff is tugged over, and that's a free kick. That's a cheap one. Cochrane was drawn into that by Longstaff, and there's a low 5 actually between Longstaff and Livramento.
Yeah, clever that. Good experience. He knew what he was doing, just slowed down to allow that contact. Wasn't an awful lot in it, but it was exactly what Newcastle wanted. Just a free kick on the halfway line, make Birmingham retreat back into their own half.
Murphy, Longstaff with a touch. Livramento's off down the right hand side. His ball into the penalty area, intercepted by a Birmingham leg, and it bounces down for Osula. Osula, who is shielding it from Clara, and in the end it's out of play off Clara for a corner. Absolute classic Will Osula there. Is the ball going to bounce away from him? Has he got it under control? Is he going to have a shot? Is he going to put in a tackle?
Well, you thought that. The defender was thinking that. I think he was thinking that himself. Have I got this? Have I not got it? But you just know when he does wrap that ball in, he could potentially drop his shoulder and score. He could potentially drop his shoulder and lose it. But he's certainly an exciting player to watch.
He's like a number of players. I'm sure Liam will be, as Newcastle take the corner. I'm trying to think. There is an obvious example. Newcastle take the corner, and then Tonali tries to keep it in play, tries to win another corner, and he doesn't, and he throws his arms up in the air. It's a goal kick for Birmingham. We have now played 45, 50, 8. We're in the 10th minute of added time. So we've still got 2 minutes to play. They might have another chance, Birmingham, to make it 3-3.
That was your last finger, that wasn't it, to work it out?
It was. I needed engineer Phil's fingers as well from the first half. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 3. But with this scoreline, Newcastle are going through, Birmingham are going out, and you've got your half-hour walk back to your car coming up shortly.
Yeah, I miscalculated, didn't I?
Quite badly. As Birmingham win a free kick. Dowell, ironic cheers from the Birmingham fans. Not sure whether we'll stay on long enough to hear the chorus of boos for Matt Donoghue, the referee. But here we are. This could be the last chance.
It's a big opportunity. You can put all three centre-backs up into the final third. You've already got Laird, who's pretty good in the air as well. You just need the right delivery.
Yeah, you've got Williamson in there as well, and Bielik as Peacock Farrell plays it. Hanley did get his head to that, but Nick Pope comes very calmly across his 6-yard box, actually clutches the bouncing ball and for no particular reason drops down onto his knees, which the Birmingham fans are onto.
Yeah, and the referee's going over just to have a chat to him as well. That could have been a moment for Birmingham. You're right, Hanley got there first. He got into a great position and just stumbled as he went to make connection, which meant he couldn't get any purchase on his header.
Pope underarms it out like David Bryant, and Osula takes it on down the right. He's running for the corner flag. Osula, who is being challenged by Bielik, who might have pulled his shorts. Osula went sprawling down to the ground. I thought that was a free kick. He's not got it. Then Cochrane to Williamson in the centre circle. Williamson tackled well by Tonali, no free kick. And Cher has gone for goal from 7 or 8 yards inside his own half. Peacock Farrell was able to quickly get back and catch it.
He saw it, and there was potential if he'd have hit it just underneath the crossbar, but Peacock Farrell responded brilliantly. I'm not sure that's exactly what Eddie Howe wanted in this moment.
No, his body language suggests not. 3-2 Newcastle lead. We are now in the final minute, the 12th minute of added time. 3-2. Watch out for the highlights on Match of the Day tonight after the news on BBC One. And Birmingham might have one more highlight. Cochrane's cross, that looks good, but it's cleared away by Cher, who allowed it to land on his right instep. Osula has gone down. There's been a clash of heads. Clara and Osula, I think they've clashed every other part of their body, so why not their heads now?
Yeah.
And Osula has gone down and will need some treatment.
Yeah, really competitive. That is really good play. You know, we've talked about him in different ways all evening long, Osula. But he was exhausted. He just got himself back up. He's worked really hard tonight. Got to the halfway line just as, I think you said it was Cher, made that clearance inside his 6-yard box, and he put so much snow on it. But when it come out, it was bouncing, and Osula thought, I can go and do something for my team here. I can go and compete with Clara here to try and hold the ball up. And as the ball bounced, he actually wins the ball, and Clara puts him in the back of the head, really, whether it was his forehead, whether it was his nose area. But he certainly made contact with Osula, and potential for a free kick there. As it happened, the referee stopped the game for a clash of heads, but it's that desire to not just be good at the top end of the field, to go and actually compete when your team needs it and try and hold the ball up.
Still, Osula is receiving treatment from the 2 Newcastle United physios in their long maroon coats. 3-2. Laird and Iwata for Birmingham. 2 goals for Willock, 1 for Callum Wilson, in front of almost 28,000 people. And now one final chorus of Keep Right On to the End of the Road. And that's what Birmingham are going to have to do here. Newcastle making a very late change with Alexander Isak coming on to replace Osula.
It seems strange to make this decision. It felt like it was a night that Isak was going to be rested, not needed, didn't put him on, and you brought Wilson off earlier in the game. But to do it now in potentially, I think we're over the 12 minutes that was supposed to be added.
He's looking a little dazed, I must say, Osula, as he leaves the field, and Newcastle's leading scorer, the 19-goal Alexander Isak, comes onto the field for the final seconds. This will be the last chance. Players going to resume with a drop ball. Birmingham have sent everyone forward. 5 live from the BBC. FA Cup drama. Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 3. The ball is dropped, played back to Peacock Farrell. Long from the Birmingham goalkeeper, headed down for Newcastle inside their own penalty area. And Laird is able to take it on into the box. Could have gone down, goes to the byline, does go down. Shouts from the Birmingham fans in the Tilton Road end behind him, no penalty, and then Cochrane overhits the ball through, and I think that will be it. Nick Pope is able to take it down, pat it down. Lyndon Dykes comes, forces him to pick it up, and there is the final whistle. And Newcastle United have, in the end, seen off the considerable challenge of the League One leaders, Birmingham City, who are beaten for the first time since November in any competition. And Newcastle, that's some effort from Newcastle United 3 days after all of everything surrounding their qualification for the final of the Carabao Cup. There in the League Cup final. Now they're in the fifth round of the FA Cup. Leon Osman.
Great game of football, really what we want to see in the FA Cup. Outstanding from Birmingham in their effort, in the way they got at Newcastle, tried to make a game, tried to create chances and make it entertaining. Unfortunately, just falling short, but this isn't a priority for them. Their priority is promotion into the Championship. For Newcastle, credit in the way they went a goal behind early and yet came back into the game and controlled it for large parts. Overall deserved the win. I thought they were good enough after making 9 changes to that team that went through in the Cup. This is a team that now they all want to play in Cup finals, they all want to progress, they all want to say I deserve to be playing against Liverpool in that final. But also I think we can continue to go in this Cup competition as well, because this is a club that wants silverware, they need silverware. Those fans away to our right are starting to get to the point they're going to demand silverware, and this is a good way of going about it. Credit to Newcastle for progressing in the Cup.
Yeah, very good Cup tie, Leon, wasn't it? Right from the start, that goal in the first minute set the tone, and it has really illuminated a gloomy, miserable Saturday evening here in the West Midlands. And it has finished Birmingham City 2, Newcastle United 3.